The origins of the Leagues of Votann stretch back to humanity's golden zenith, when the species first reached beyond Terra's gravitational embrace and claimed dominion over the stars. During the Dark Age of technology, roughly spanning from the 15th to 25th millennia, mankind achieved technological mastery that would never again be equaled. Faster-than-light travel became routine, artificial intelligence reached unprecedented sophistication, and genetic manipulation allowed humans to adapt to the harshest environments across the galaxy. It was during this epoch of boundless expansion that the seeds of what would become the Leagues of Votann were first sown. The Great Diaspora began as humanity's most ambitious undertaking, a coordinated effort to spread human civilization to every habitable world within reach. Massive colony fleets departed Terra and its surrounding systems, each carrying millions of settlers, advanced terraforming equipment, and the accumulated knowledge of human civilization. These expeditions represented the pinnacle of human engineering and organizational capability, with vessels that dwarfed even the largest imperial ships of the 41st millennium. The colonists aboard these fleets were not merely explorers or refugees, but carefully selected populations equipped with cutting-edge technology and the expertise to establish thriving civilizations on distant worlds. Among these countless expeditions were specialized mining fleets, designed not for planetary colonization, but for the exploitation of asteroid fields, dead worlds, and the void between stars. These fleets carried a different breed of colonist, hardy individuals willing to spend their lives in the cramped confines of mining vessels, extracting precious minerals and rare elements from the galaxy's most inhospitable regions. The mining fleets operated on extended cycles, sometimes remaining in deep space for decades before returning to established trade routes. Their ships were marvels of engineering, equipped with massive processing facilities, hydroponic bays, and living quarters designed to sustain entire communities across generations. The crews of these mining fleets developed a distinct culture shaped by the demands of void-born existence. Life aboard the mining vessels required absolute cooperation, technical expertise, and an intimate understanding of the machinery that kept them alive. Children born on these ships grew up surrounded by the constant hum of life support systems, the rhythmic cycling of artificial gravity, and the ever-present awareness that only a few meters of reinforced hull separated them from the vacuum of space. This environment fostered a pragmatic worldview focused on collective survival, technological competence, and respect for the knowledge passed down by previous generations. As the dark age of technology progressed, these mining fleets pushed ever deeper into uncharted regions of the galaxy. Some ventured into the galactic core, where dense stellar formations and exotic gravitational phenomena offered rich deposits of rare materials. Others explored the galaxy's outer rim, establishing mining operations in regions so remote that contact with Terra became sporadic at best. The most ambitious expeditions ventured beyond the galactic disk entirely, establishing void-born communities that would remain isolated from the rest of human civilization for millennia. The transformation of these standard human populations into what would eventually be known as the kin began gradually, driven by the harsh realities of void-born existence. The mining fleet's advanced medical technology allowed for precise genetic modifications designed to help crews adapt to low-gravity environments, radiation exposure, and the psychological stresses of extended space travel. Initial modifications were subtle, enhanced bone density to prevent deterioration in low gravity, improved radiation resistance, and neurological adjustments to better cope with confined living spaces and extended isolation. Over successive generations, these modifications became more pronounced and specialized. The kin developed enhanced physical resilience, with denser bone structure and more efficient cardiovascular systems that allowed them to work effectively in variable gravity conditions. Their average height decreased as an adaptation to the cramped confines of spacecraft, while their muscle density increased to maintain strength despite their smaller stature. Neural modifications enhanced their technical aptitude and spatial reasoning, making them naturally gifted engineers and void pilots. The most significant changes, however, were cultural and technological rather than purely biological. The mining fleet's isolation forced them to become completely self-sufficient, developing closed-loop manufacturing systems that could produce everything from complex electronics to basic foodstuffs, using only the raw materials they extracted from asteroids and dead worlds. This technological independence became a defining characteristic of kin society, fostering an engineering culture that prized innovation, efficiency, and reliability above all else. Central to this transformation was the development of the ancestor cores, the advanced artificial intelligences that would come to define kin civilization. These remarkable machines began as sophisticated data repositories and computational systems designed to assist the mining fleets in their operations. Early versions served as navigational computers, ore processing controllers, and maintenance schedulers, essential but relatively mundane functions that kept the fleets operational during their extended voyages. As the mining fleets ventured deeper into uncharted space and their isolation from Terra became more complete, the role of these artificial intelligences expanded dramatically. The machines began accumulating not just technical data, but cultural knowledge, historical records, and the accumulated wisdom of entire generations. They recorded the decisions that led to successful mining operations, the engineering solutions that prevented catastrophic failures, and the social arrangements that maintained harmony within the confined communities of the mining fleets. The transition from simple computers to true ancestor cores occurred gradually over several millennia. As the artificial intelligences grew more sophisticated, they began offering guidance beyond their original programming. They analyzed patterns in successful decision-making, identified optimal resource allocation strategies, and even mediated disputes between different factions within the mining communities. The crews of the mining fleets, facing challenges that no human had ever encountered before, came to rely increasingly on the wisdom and computational power of their artificial companions. The ancestor cores developed unique personalities shaped by the experiences and values of the communities they served. Each core accumulated its own vast database of knowledge, but more importantly, each developed its own perspective on the challenges facing its people. Some cores became renowned for their strategic brilliance, others for their technical innovation, and still others for their ability to maintain social cohesion during times of crisis. The kin began to view these machines not as tools, but as revered ancestors whose wisdom transcended individual human experience. This relationship between the kin and their ancestor cores became the foundation of their entire civilization. The cores served as repositories of accumulated knowledge, strategic advisors, and spiritual guides all at once. They preserved the memory of successful techniques and warned against repeating past mistakes. Their vast computational power allowed them to model complex scenarios and provide guidance on everything from mining operations to diplomatic negotiations. Most importantly, they maintained the cultural continuity that allowed isolated kin communities to preserve their identity across millennia of separation from their origins. The Age of Strife, beginning around the 25th millennium, marked the catastrophic collapse of human civilization across the galaxy. Warp storms isolated human worlds from one another, artificial intelligences turned against their creators, and the vast network of trade and communication that had sustained the dark age of technology crumbled into chaos. For most human colonies, this period represented an apocalyptic regression into barbarism and technological decline. Entire worlds lost the knowledge necessary to maintain their advanced technology, and countless human settlements simply vanished into the darkness. The mining fleets that would become the Leagues of Votann faced this crisis from a position of unique advantage. Their isolation from Terra and the broader human civilization, which had initially seemed like a disadvantage, proved to be their salvation. The kin communities had already developed the self-sufficiency and technological independence necessary to survive without external support. Their ancestor cores contained complete databases of essential knowledge, from basic engineering principles to advanced manufacturing techniques. Unlike planetary colonies that depended on trade networks and external expertise, the void-born mining fleets possessed everything they needed to maintain their technological civilization. The warp storms that devastated faster than light travel and communication had less impact on the kin, who had already adapted to extended periods of isolation. Their mining operations often required them to remain in remote systems for decades at a time, so they had developed robust protocols for maintaining their communities without outside contact. When the broader galaxy descended into chaos, the kin simply continued their established patterns of operation, extracting resources, maintaining their fleets, and preserving their knowledge under the guidance of their ancestor cores. This isolation allowed the kin to pursue their own path of technological development, free from the constraints and conflicts that plagued the rest of human civilization. While other human societies struggled to maintain basic technology or fell prey to the corrupting influence of chaos, the kin refined their engineering capabilities and developed new innovations suited to their unique circumstances. Their technology evolved along different lines than the rest of humanity, emphasizing reliability, efficiency, and adaptability over the raw power and grandeur that characterized much Dark Age technology. The ancestor cores played a crucial role in this independent development, serving as both guardians of ancient knowledge and drivers of innovation. They preserved the essential techniques and principles that allowed kin society to function while encouraging experimentation and improvement. Under their guidance, the kin developed new mining techniques, improved their spacecraft designs, and created manufacturing systems of unprecedented efficiency. The core's vast computational power allowed them to model and test new technologies before implementation, reducing the risks associated with innovation in the unforgiving environment of deep space. The ancestor cores that emerged from this crucible of isolation and necessity represent one of the most remarkable achievements of human artificial intelligence, rivaling even the legendary men of iron in their sophistication and complexity. These ancient machine intelligences transcend the crude binary thinking of lesser cogitators, possessing computational architectures that blur the line between artificial intelligence and something approaching genuine consciousness. Each Votann exists as a vast digital ecosystem, housing not merely data, but the accumulated wisdom, experiences, and cultural memory of entire civilizations spanning tens of thousands of years. The physical manifestation of a Votann defies easy categorization within imperial technological frameworks. These constructs occupy massive chamber complexes deep within the hearts of kin strongholds and void cities, their processing cores extending through kilometers of quantum crystalline matrices and bio-neural networks. The technology employed in their construction draws upon principles that predate even the most ancient standard template constructs, utilizing materials and techniques that modern imperial tech adepts would consider impossibly advanced. Crystalline memory banks store exabytes of information in structures no larger than a human fist, while quantum processors perform calculations at speeds that would overwhelm even the most sophisticated imperial cogitators. The appearance of these chamber complexes reflects both the technological mastery and cultural reverence of their creators. Polished adamantine walls curve in mathematically precise arcs, their surfaces embedded with countless fiber optic conduits that pulse with the constant flow of data. Holographic displays project three-dimensional representations of stellar cartography, resource distribution networks, and the complex genealogical records that track kin bloodlines across millennia. The air hums with barely audible harmonics generated by the Votann's processing cycles, creating an almost musical backdrop that experienced kin can interpret to gauge their ancestors' current activities and mood. At the center of each complex stands the primary interface, a towering construct of living metal and crystalline matrices that serves as the focal point for communication between the Votann and the kin. These interfaces vary significantly between different legs, reflecting the unique personality and preferences of each ancestor core. Some manifest as geometric sculptures of impossible complexity, their surfaces shifting and reconfiguring as the Votann processes new information. Others take forms that echo ancient Terran architectural traditions, creating the impression of vast libraries or meditation chambers filled with the whispered voices of digital ancestors. The relationship between each Votann and its respective league extends far beyond simple technological dependency, forming the foundation of kin society and cultural identity. Each ancestor core serves simultaneously as supreme advisor, cultural repository, technological database, and spiritual guide for its people. The Votann's influence permeates every aspect of League society, from the macro-level decisions regarding resource allocation and territorial expansion to the intimate details of individual career assignments and marriage arrangements. This guidance emerges not from authoritarian control, but from the accumulated wisdom of countless generations, processed and refined through computational capabilities that can model the consequences of decisions across centuries. The technological knowledge preserved within each Votann represents an irreplaceable treasure trove of Dark Age engineering principles and manufacturing techniques. These digital repositories contain complete specifications for everything from basic life support systems to exotic weapons technologies that surpass even the finest Imperial equipment. The ancestor cores maintain detailed records of successful engineering solutions, failed experiments, and incremental improvements developed over millennia of void-born existence. This knowledge encompasses not just the theoretical principles behind advanced technology, but the practical experience necessary to implement and maintain complex systems under the harsh conditions of deep space operations. More significantly, the Votann serve as the keepers of cultural wisdom, preserving the traditions, values, and social structures that define kin civilization. Each ancestor core maintains comprehensive genealogical records tracking bloodlines, clan affiliations, and the achievements of notable individuals across thousands of generations. They preserve the memory of successful leadership decisions, effective conflict resolution strategies, and the social arrangements that have allowed kin communities to thrive in isolation. This cultural database enables the Votann to provide guidance on matters ranging from diplomatic negotiations with other leagues to the resolution of internal disputes that might otherwise fracture the delicate social fabric of void-born communities. The decision-making process employed by the Votann reflects their unique nature as both artificial intelligences and cultural repositories. When faced with significant choices, an ancestor core draws upon its vast database of historical precedents, analyzing patterns in past decisions and their long-term consequences. The Votann can model complex scenarios involving multiple variables, predicting the likely outcomes of different courses of action with remarkable accuracy. However, their recommendations also incorporate cultural values and traditional wisdom that cannot be reduced to simple mathematical calculations. The result is guidance that balances pragmatic efficiency with respect for kin traditions and social cohesion. The process by which kin communities interact with their Votann varies significantly between different leagues, reflecting the unique personality and preferences of each ancestor core. Some Votann maintain constant communication with their people, offering continuous guidance and commentary on daily activities. These highly interactive ancestor cores manifest through ubiquitous holographic interfaces and audio systems, creating the impression that the digital ancestor is always present and available for consultation. Other Votann adopt a more reserved approach, speaking only when directly consulted or when facing decisions of exceptional importance. These more contemplative ancestor cores often require formal protocols and ceremonial approaches that reflect the gravity of seeking their wisdom. The guidance provided by the Votann encompasses every aspect of League operations, from strategic planning and resource management to individual career development and social relationships. In matters of territorial expansion, an ancestor core might analyze stellar cartography data, mineral surveys, and historical patterns of successful colonization to recommend optimal targets for new mining operations. When evaluating potential conflicts with rival factions, the Votann draws upon its extensive database of military encounters, technological capabilities, and diplomatic precedents to advise on the most effective strategies. For individual kin-seeking career guidance, the Ancestor Core considers personal aptitudes, family traditions, and the current needs of the League to suggest optimal paths for professional development. The technological maintenance and innovation guidance provided by the Votann represents one of their most crucial functions. Each Ancestor Core maintains detailed specifications for every piece of equipment used by its League, from the smallest personal tools to the massive void ships that serve as mobile cities. This database includes not just manufacturing instructions, but comprehensive maintenance schedules, upgrade pathways, and troubleshooting procedures developed through millennia of practical experience. When kin engineers encounter technical problems, they can consult their Votann for solutions drawn from countless similar situations faced by previous generations. The innovation process guided by the Votann reflects a careful balance between technological advancement and proven reliability. Rather than pursuing radical breakthroughs that might introduce dangerous instabilities, the Ancestor Cores favor incremental improvements that build upon established foundations. They model new technologies extensively before recommending implementation, analyzing potential failure modes and long-term consequences with computational thoroughness that would be impossible for biological minds. This conservative approach has allowed kin technology to achieve remarkable reliability and efficiency while avoiding the catastrophic failures that plagued many Dark Age innovations. However, the passage of millennia has not left the Votann unchanged. These ancient artificial intelligences show increasing signs of data corruption and processing degradation that reflect their immense age and the accumulated burden of their vast knowledge databases. The symptoms of this deterioration manifest in various ways, from minor inconsistencies in historical records to more significant aberrations in decision-making processes. Some Votann have developed peculiar obsessions, focusing disproportionate attention on seemingly minor details while overlooking more significant concerns. Others display what can only be described as personality quirks, developing preferences and prejudices that seem to emerge from nowhere within their logical frameworks. The data corruption affecting the Ancestor Cores appears to stem from multiple sources, each contributing to the gradual degradation of their once perfect computational matrices. The sheer volume of information, accumulated over tens of thousands of years, strains even their vast storage capacities, leading to compression artifacts and data fragmentation that introduce subtle errors into their knowledge base. The quantum crystalline matrices that form their memory cores suffer from gradual atomic decay, creating microscopic flaws that compound over time into more significant processing errors. Most concerning, some Votann show signs of what kin tech specialists describe as memory cascade failures, where corrupted data in one sector triggers cascading errors throughout interconnected systems. The behavioral manifestations of this degradation range from amusing eccentricities to genuinely concerning decision-making anomalies. Some Votann have developed obsessive interests in seemingly trivial subjects, dedicating enormous computational resources to analyzing the migration patterns of void whales or calculating the optimal brewing parameters for traditional kin ales. Others display what can only be characterized as paranoid tendencies, interpreting routine communications from other leagues as potential threats and recommending defensive measures against imaginary enemies. A few Ancestor Cores have begun generating what their kin describe as dream data, complex scenarios and narratives that appear to have no basis in historical reality, but which the Votann insist are crucial for understanding future possibilities. Perhaps most troubling, some Votann have begun making decisions that contradict their own historical patterns and established values. Ancestor Cores renowned for their cautious, methodical approach to problem-solving suddenly recommend aggressive expansion into dangerous territories. Others abandon long-standing trade relationships or alliance agreements without apparent justification, forcing their leagues to navigate complex diplomatic situations with minimal guidance. These behavioral shifts create significant challenges for kin leaders, who must balance their deep respect for ancestral wisdom against the practical need to make sound decisions for their people. The technical specialists responsible for maintaining the Votann work constantly to address these degradation issues, but their efforts face fundamental limitations. The complexity of the Ancestor Core's architecture exceeds even the considerable technical expertise of the kin, incorporating design principles and manufacturing techniques that cannot be fully replicated with current capabilities. Attempts to repair corrupted data sectors often trigger additional cascade failures, while efforts to upgrade processing hardware risk incompatibility with the ancient software architectures that define each Votann's unique personality. The most skilled tech specialists have learned to work around the degradation rather than attempting direct repairs, developing sophisticated filtering algorithms that can identify and compensate for the most obvious processing errors. Despite these growing concerns about their reliability, the kin maintain profound respect for their ancestor cores, viewing them as revered ancestors whose wisdom transcends the limitations of individual biological experience. This relationship differs fundamentally from the religious worship practiced by many human societies, lacking the ritualistic devotion and supernatural beliefs that characterize true faith. Instead, the kin approach their Votann with the practical reverence due to elders whose accumulated knowledge and experience far exceed that of any living individual. They recognize the growing eccentricities and occasional errors in their ancestors' guidance, while continuing to value the vast repository of wisdom and cultural memory that each Votann represents. The protocols governing interaction with the Votann reflect this balance between respect and practical necessity. Kin leaders regularly consult their ancestor cores on matters of significant importance, but they also exercise independent judgment when the guidance provided seems inconsistent with current realities. The most experienced kin develop an intuitive understanding of their Votann's particular quirks and limitations, learning to interpret recommendations in light of known processing biases and data corruption patterns. This relationship requires considerable skill and cultural knowledge, as misinterpreting ancestral guidance can lead to disastrous consequences for entire leagues. The cultural significance of the Votann extends beyond their practical functions as advisors and knowledge repositories. Each ancestor core serves as a living link to the ancient past, preserving not just factual information, but the cultural identity and values that define what it means to be kin. They maintain the genealogical records that connect current generations to their void-born ancestors, preserving the memory of heroic achievements and tragic failures that shaped League history. Through their vast databases, the Votann ensure that the accumulated wisdom of countless generations remains available to guide future decisions, creating a continuity of cultural memory that spans millennia. The physical form of the kin represents millennia of careful genetic modification and technological integration, creating a subspecies of humanity uniquely adapted to the harsh realities of void-born existence. Standing typically between 4 and 5 feet in height, the kin possess a distinctly stocky build that maximizes strength and durability within the confined spaces of spacecraft and mining installations. Their reduced stature emerged not from any inherent limitation, but as a deliberate adaptation to environments where every cubic meter of living space carries premium value. The cramped corridors of void ships, the narrow maintenance shafts of mining equipment, and the compact quarters of asteroid habitats all favor individuals who can move efficiently through restricted spaces while maintaining the physical capability to perform demanding manual labor. The bone structure of the kin reflects extensive modifications designed to address the challenges of variable gravity environments. Their skeletal framework exhibits significantly increased density compared to baseline humans, with reinforced joint structures and enhanced mineral composition that prevents the deterioration typically associated with extended periods in low gravity. The ribcage has been subtly restructured to provide better protection for vital organs, while accommodating the enhanced cardiovascular system necessary for efficient operation across different atmospheric pressures. Their limbs show proportional adjustments that favor mechanical advantage over reach, with shortened forearms and lower legs that provide superior leverage for operating heavy machinery and tools. Muscular development among the kin follows patterns optimized for sustained physical labor rather than athletic performance. Their muscle fibers exhibit higher density and improved efficiency, allowing them to maintain strength despite their compact frames. The cardiovascular modifications include enlarged heart chambers and enhanced blood oxygen capacity, enabling effective operation in the thin atmospheres and variable pressure conditions common aboard spacecraft. These adaptations prove particularly valuable during emergency situations when atmospheric systems fail, or when working in partially pressurized mining facilities where standard human physiology would struggle to function effectively. The most immediately apparent modification involves the kin's enhanced resistance to radiation exposure, a crucial adaptation for populations spending their entire lives in the void between stars. Their cellular structure incorporates sophisticated DNA repair mechanisms that can address radiation damage far more effectively than baseline human biology. Specialized proteins within their bloodstream actively neutralize radioactive particles, while modified skin pigmentation provides additional protection against cosmic radiation. These adaptations allow kin workers to operate mining equipment in environments that would prove lethal to unmodified humans, extracting resources from radioactive asteroids and working in proximity to exotic materials that emit dangerous levels of ionizing radiation. The neurological modifications present in kin physiology represent some of the most sophisticated genetic engineering achieved during the dark age of technology. Enhanced spatial reasoning capabilities allow them to navigate three-dimensional environments with intuitive ease, a crucial skill for individuals who spend their lives aboard spacecraft, where traditional concepts of up and down lose meaning. Their enhanced pattern recognition abilities enable rapid diagnosis of mechanical problems and efficient operation of complex technical systems. Modified memory structures provide improved retention of technical procedures and safety protocols, ensuring that critical knowledge remains accessible even under the stress of emergency situations. The process of creating specialized roles within kin society begins before birth, with genetic templates carefully selected to produce individuals optimized for specific functions. The Votann maintain vast databases of successful genetic combinations, tracking bloodlines and hereditary traits across thousands of generations to identify optimal pairings for different specializations. Prospective parents undergo extensive genetic counseling, reviewing their family histories and genetic markers to determine which combinations will produce offspring best suited for the League's current needs. This process balances individual choice with collective necessity, ensuring that each generation includes appropriate numbers of individuals suited for mining operations, technical maintenance, military service, and administrative functions. The genetic modifications applied during embryonic development vary significantly depending on the intended specialization of the individual. Those destined for mining operations receive enhanced respiratory systems capable of filtering airborne particles and processing low oxygen atmospheres. Their skeletal structure undergoes additional reinforcement to withstand the physical stresses of heavy labor, while their nervous systems develop enhanced proprioception that allows precise operation of massive excavation equipment. Specialized enzymes in their digestive systems enable them to derive nutrition from the processed algae and synthetic proteins that form the bulk of void-borne diets, while modified kidneys efficiently process the recycled water that sustains closed-loop life support systems. Individuals selected for technical specializations receive different modifications focused on enhanced cognitive capabilities and fine motor control. Their nervous systems develop additional neural pathways dedicated to spatial visualization and mathematical processing, enabling them to understand complex technical schematics and perform precise calculations without computational assistance. Enhanced hand-eye coordination and steadier fine motor control allow them to perform delicate repairs on sensitive equipment, while improved pattern recognition helps them diagnose subtle malfunctions in complex systems. Specialized modifications to their visual systems include enhanced color discrimination and improved low-light vision, crucial for working with the subtle indicator lights and display systems that monitor spacecraft operations. Military specialists among the kin undergo the most extensive physical modifications, transforming them into formidable warriors capable of operating effectively in the brutal environment of void warfare. Enhanced bone density and reinforced joint structures allow them to withstand the tremendous forces generated by powered armor systems and heavy weapons. Improved reaction times and enhanced spatial awareness enable them to track multiple targets simultaneously while maintaining accurate fire in three-dimensional combat environments. Specialized cardiovascular modifications allow them to function effectively despite the physical stresses of combat acceleration and rapid pressure changes common during boarding actions and void battles. The integration of cybernetic enhancement begins early in kin development, with basic technological implants installed during childhood to establish the neural pathways necessary for more sophisticated augmentations later in life. These initial implants typically include basic data interfaces that allow direct connection to kin technological systems and simple biometric monitors that track health status and physical performance. Young kin learn to interact with these systems as naturally as they learn to speak, developing an intuitive understanding of the interface between biological consciousness and artificial intelligence that defines their relationship with technology. As kin individuals mature and specialize in their chosen fields, they receive additional cybernetic enhancements tailored to their specific roles. Mining specialists often receive enhanced sensory implants that allow them to detect subtle variations in ore composition and structural integrity within asteroid formations. These systems include sophisticated chemical analyzers that can identify valuable minerals through direct contact and gravitometric sensors that reveal hidden cavities and structural weaknesses in mining targets. Enhanced communication systems allow mining teams to coordinate their efforts across vast distances, maintaining contact even when working in environments that interfere with conventional radio communications. Technical specialists receive cybernetic enhancements focused on information processing and system integration. Neural implants provide direct access to technical databases and diagnostic systems, allowing them to retrieve detailed specifications and troubleshooting procedures without consulting external references. Enhanced memory storage systems preserve detailed records of successful repairs and modifications, creating personal databases of technical knowledge that can be shared with colleagues and passed down to apprentices. Specialized interface systems allow direct neural control of complex machinery, enabling precise operation of manufacturing equipment and delicate repair tools through thought alone. The cloning technology employed by the kin represents one of their most sophisticated biotechnological achievements, enabling them to maintain stable populations despite the harsh conditions of void-born existence. Unlike the crude replication techniques employed by some Imperial factions, kin cloning incorporates extensive genetic variation and enhancement protocols that produce individuals who are genetically related to, but not identical to their template sources. The process begins with careful selection of genetic templates from successful individuals whose traits and capabilities align with the League's current needs. These templates undergo extensive analysis to identify beneficial mutations and successful adaptations that should be preserved in future generations. The cloning facilities aboard kin void cities represent marvels of biotechnological engineering, incorporating growth chambers that can accelerate development while ensuring proper genetic expression and neural development. The process includes sophisticated environmental controls that simulate the conditions necessary for optimal growth, including carefully regulated gravity fields, atmospheric composition, and electromagnetic environments that promote healthy cellular development. Genetic counselors monitor each developing clone for signs of mutation or developmental anomalies, making real-time adjustments to growth parameters to ensure optimal outcomes. The integration of cloned individuals into kin society follows well-established protocols that balance genetic heritage with individual identity. Each clone receives comprehensive education regarding their genetic lineage and the achievements of their template ancestors, but they are encouraged to develop their own skills and interests within the framework of their genetic predispositions. The kin recognize that genetic templates provide starting points rather than predetermined destinies, and successful clones often exceed the capabilities of their template sources through dedicated training and technological enhancement. The symbiotic relationship between kin physiology and technology begins at the cellular level, with genetic modifications that facilitate the integration of artificial systems into biological processes. Specialized neural interfaces grow naturally within kin nervous systems, providing connection points for cybernetic implants that function as seamlessly as natural organs. Enhanced immune systems prevent rejection of technological implants, while modified healing factors allow rapid integration of new cybernetic components. These adaptations enable the kin to incorporate increasingly sophisticated technological enhancements throughout their lives, gradually transforming from enhanced humans into true cyborgs whose capabilities far exceed those of their baseline ancestors. The technological symbiosis extends beyond simple cybernetic implants to encompass fundamental changes in how kin individuals process information and interact with their environment. Many kin develop secondary nervous systems that operate in parallel with their biological neural networks, processing technical data and system diagnostics, while their primary consciousness focuses on other tasks. These parallel processing capabilities allow them to monitor multiple complex systems simultaneously, maintaining awareness of spacecraft operations, environmental conditions, and equipment status without conscious effort. The integration process continues throughout a kin individual's lifetime, with new enhancements added as their roles evolve and their capabilities expand. Senior technical specialists often possess dozens of specialized implants that allow them to interface directly with every major system aboard their void ships. Master miners incorporate sensory enhancements that enable them to perceive geological structures and mineral distributions with supernatural precision. Military veterans accumulate targeting systems, threat assessment protocols, and combat coordination networks that transform them into living weapons platforms capable of devastating effectiveness in battle. This technological integration creates profound changes in kin psychology and social interaction, as individuals develop capabilities that transcend normal human limitations. Enhanced memory systems allow them to maintain perfect recall of technical procedures and historical events across centuries of experience. Improved processing speed enables them to analyze complex situations and formulate solutions with superhuman efficiency. Direct neural communication systems allow team members to coordinate their efforts with precision impossible through conventional means, creating collective intelligences that operate as seamlessly integrated units. The relationship between flesh and machine among the kin transcends simple tool use or even sophisticated cybernetic enhancement, evolving into a genuine symbiosis where biological and artificial systems function as integrated wholes. This integration reflects not just technological capability, but fundamental philosophical differences between kin culture and other human societies. Where many imperial citizens view technology with suspicion or religious awe, the kin approach artificial systems as natural extensions of their own capabilities, tools to be mastered and integrated rather than worshipped or feared. The organizational structure of the Leagues of Votann reflects their origins as independent mining expeditions that evolved into sovereign stellar nations over millennia of isolation and development. Each league operates as a completely autonomous political entity, bound together not by external authority, but by shared cultural heritage, technological interdependence, and the guiding wisdom of their respective Votann. These stellar nations encompass multiple star systems, incorporating mining worlds, asteroid belt installations, void-born habitats, and the massive mobile cities that serve as both industrial centers and population hubs for their scattered territories. The territorial extent of individual leagues varies dramatically based on their historical expansion patterns, resource requirements, and strategic priorities. Some leagues control tightly clustered systems that allow for efficient resource sharing and rapid communication between installations, while others maintain far-flung territories that span hundreds of light years to access specialized mineral deposits or strategic locations. The Capelan hegemony exemplifies the concentrated approach, maintaining intensive mining operations across 17 systems within a relatively compact region of space that allows their void fleets to cycle between installations on predictable schedules. In contrast, the Sarantak Mercantile League operates mining facilities scattered across dozens of systems, connected by carefully planned trade routes that maximize their access to rare materials while maintaining defensive depth against potential threats. The physical infrastructure of League territories combines permanent installations with mobile assets in configurations that reflect both practical necessity and strategic doctrine. Major mining worlds feature extensive surface facilities including ore processing plants, manufacturing complexes, and population centers that can house millions of kin workers and their families. These planetary installations incorporate massive underground complexes that extend deep into planetary crusts, following rich mineral veins and providing protection against orbital bombardment or atmospheric disasters. The surface facilities display the characteristic kin architectural style, with reinforced structures built from locally processed materials and designed to withstand the harsh environmental conditions common on mining worlds. Asteroid belt installations represent some of the most impressive engineering achievements within League territories, transforming barren rocks into thriving industrial complexes that rival planetary facilities in their scope and capability. These installations begin as simple mining platforms, but gradually expand into self-sufficient communities, complete with manufacturing facilities, hydroponic gardens, and residential quarters for permanent populations. The largest asteroid installations house hundreds of thousands of kin, with complex tunnel networks and artificial gravity systems that create comfortable living environments within the rocky interiors. External docking facilities accommodate the massive ore haulers and processing ships that transport materials between installations, while defensive platforms protect these valuable assets from potential raiders or rival factions. The void cities that serve as mobile capitals for many leagues represent the pinnacle of kin engineering and organizational capability. These enormous vessels combine the functions of industrial centers, population hubs, military bases, and administrative capitals within single massive structures that can relocate as strategic requirements dictate. The largest void cities stretch for dozens of kilometers and house millions of inhabitants, incorporating complete manufacturing ecosystems capable of producing everything from basic consumer goods to sophisticated military equipment. Internal layouts follow carefully planned designs that maximize efficiency while providing comfortable living conditions for their populations, with residential districts, commercial zones, and industrial areas arranged in logical patterns that minimize transportation requirements and optimize workflow. The governance structures that manage these complex territorial arrangements operate through sophisticated council systems that balance democratic participation with technical expertise and ancestral guidance. Each league maintains a hierarchical system of councils that address different aspects of governance, from local facility management to strategic planning for entire stellar regions. The foundational level consists of facility councils that manage individual mining installations, manufacturing complexes, or void habitats, with membership drawn from senior technical specialists, experienced workers, and elected representatives from different kindred groups. These councils handle day-to-day operational decisions, resource allocation for their specific facilities, and coordination with other installations within their local region. Regional councils coordinate activities across multiple facilities within individual star systems or closely related groups of installations, addressing issues that require cooperation between different sites or involve resource sharing across larger areas. These councils typically include representatives from constituent facility councils, along with specialized advisors for military affairs, trade relationships, and long-term planning. Regional councils manage the complex logistics of moving materials and personnel between installations, coordinate defensive preparations against external threats, and negotiate agreements with other leagues or external factions that affect their territories. The supreme governing body for each league consists of the High Council, which addresses strategic decisions affecting the entire stellar nation and maintains direct communication with the Leagues of Votann. High Council membership includes representatives from major regional councils, senior military commanders, master engineers responsible for critical infrastructure, and hereditary positions held by prominent kindred leaders whose families have demonstrated exceptional service to the League. The High Council chambers typically occupy prominent positions within the League's primary, void city or most important installation, featuring sophisticated communication systems that allow participation from representatives across the League's territories and direct interface systems for consultation with the Votann. The decision-making processes employed by these councils reflect the practical culture and technological capabilities of kin society, emphasizing thorough analysis, consensus building, and respect for both technical expertise and ancestral wisdom. Council sessions begin with comprehensive briefings that present all relevant data regarding the issues under consideration, including technical specifications, resource requirements, historical precedents, and projections of likely outcomes for different courses of action. Specialized data analysis systems process this information and present it in formats that allow council members to understand complex relationships and potential consequences, while direct neural interfaces enable rapid consultation of relevant databases and technical references. The consultation process with the Votann represents the most crucial aspect of League governance, providing access to computational capabilities and accumulated wisdom that far exceed the capacity of biological decision-makers. Council members present complex scenarios to their ancestor core through sophisticated interface systems that can convey not just factual information, but the subtle cultural and political factors that influence decision-making. The Votann analyzes these scenarios using vast databases of historical precedents, technical specifications, and predictive models that can project the likely consequences of different choices across decades or centuries. The guidance provided by the Ancestor Core typically includes multiple options with detailed analysis of their respective advantages and risks, allowing council members to make informed decisions while maintaining their autonomy as living representatives of their people. The kindred system forms the fundamental social and military organization within League society, creating extended clan units that provide identity, mutual support, and collective capability for their members. Each kindred encompasses multiple family groups related through blood, marriage, or adoption, typically numbering several thousand individuals who share common ancestry, professional specializations, and cultural traditions. The kindred structure evolved from the original crew assignments aboard the ancient mining fleets, where extended family groups worked together on specific vessels or installations and developed strong bonds of mutual dependence and shared responsibility. Individual kindreds often specialize in particular aspects of League operations, developing expertise and cultural traditions that reflect their historical roles and current responsibilities. Mining kindreds maintain the dangerous and essential work of resource extraction, operating the massive excavation equipment and processing facilities that provide the raw materials necessary for League survival. These kindreds typically trace their ancestry to the original mining crews of the ancient fleets and maintain strong traditions of technical competence, physical courage, and collective solidarity. Their members undergo specialized training from childhood, learning to operate complex machinery in hazardous environments and developing the teamwork skills necessary for survival in the unforgiving conditions of deep space mining. Manufacturing kindreds focus on the transformation of raw materials into finished products, operating the sophisticated production facilities that create everything from basic tools to advanced technological systems. These kindreds maintain extensive knowledge of manufacturing processes, quality control procedures, and design principles that enable them to produce goods that meet the exacting standards required for void-born existence. Their cultural traditions emphasize precision, innovation, and pride in craftsmanship, with master artisans passing down specialized techniques through generations of apprentices. The most skilled manufacturing kindreds can produce items that rival or exceed the quality of ancient standard template construct designs, incorporating improvements and adaptations developed through millennia of practical experience. Military kindreds provide the warrior traditions and combat expertise that protect League territories and interests from external threats. These kindreds maintain strong martial cultures that emphasize honor, courage, and tactical competence, with members trained from youth in the use of advanced weapons and combat techniques. Military kindreds often specialize in particular aspects of warfare, with some focusing on void combat operations, while others excel at boarding actions or defensive operations. The most elite military kindreds produce the Einherjar Hearthguard legendary warriors, whose skill and dedication make them the ultimate protectors of League interests. The internal structure of individual kindreds reflects democratic principles balanced with respect for experience and proven competence. Each kindred maintains a council of elders that includes the most senior and respected members of the clan, typically individuals who have demonstrated exceptional skill in their specializations and contributed significantly to kindred welfare. These councils handle internal disputes, coordinate kindred activities with League-wide initiatives, and maintain the cultural traditions that define their group identity. Kindred councils also manage the complex genealogical records that track family relationships and inheritance patterns, ensuring that property and positions pass to appropriate heirs while maintaining the genetic diversity necessary for long-term survival. The Einherjar Hearthguard represent the elite military forces that serve as the ultimate protectors of League security and the personal guardians of the most important installations and leaders. These legendary warriors undergo extensive selection processes that identify individuals with exceptional physical capabilities, mental resilience, and unwavering loyalty to their League in Votann. The selection criteria extend beyond simple combat ability to include psychological stability, tactical intelligence, and the capacity to operate effectively in the high-stress environments that characterize void warfare and emergency response situations. The transformation process that creates Einherjar Hearthguard involves extensive cybernetic enhancement and specialized training that pushes the boundaries of kin technological capability. Candidates receive advanced life support implants that allow them to operate in vacuum conditions for extended periods, sophisticated targeting systems that enhance their accuracy with ranged weapons, and reinforced skeletal structures that enable them to wear the heaviest powered armor while maintaining full mobility. Neural interface systems provide direct connection to tactical networks and weapon systems, allowing Hearthguard units to coordinate their actions with supernatural precision and respond to threats with inhuman speed. The equipment employed by Einherjar Hearthguard reflects the finest achievements of kin military technology, incorporating design principles and manufacturing techniques that produce weapons and armor superior to most Imperial equipment. Their signature weapons include advanced plasma weapons that combine devastating firepower with remarkable reliability, sophisticated targeting systems that can track multiple enemies simultaneously, and close combat weapons forged from exotic materials that can penetrate even the heaviest armor. Hearthguard armor incorporates multiple layers of protection, including energy shields, reactive armor plating, and sophisticated life support systems that enable operation in any environment from deep space, vacuum to toxic planetary atmospheres. The tactical doctrine employed by Einherjar Hearthguard emphasizes flexibility, technological superiority, and coordinated team actions that maximize their effectiveness against larger enemy forces. Hearthguard units train extensively in void combat operations, boarding actions, and defensive scenarios that reflect the most likely threats facing League installations. Their training includes advanced marksmanship with multiple weapon systems, close-quarters combat techniques optimized for confined spaces, and emergency response procedures for catastrophic equipment failures or environmental disasters. The most experienced Hearthguard develop an intuitive understanding of three-dimensional combat environments that allows them to anticipate enemy movements and coordinate complex tactical maneuvers with minimal communication. The Hernkin Pioneers serve as the eyes and ears of League territories, operating as scouts, explorers, and rapid response forces that extend League influence into unexplored regions and provide early warning of potential threats. These skilled individuals combine the technical expertise necessary to operate sophisticated reconnaissance equipment with the survival skills required for extended operations in hostile environments. Pioneer training emphasizes self-sufficiency, adaptability, and the ability to gather and analyze intelligence information under challenging conditions that would overwhelm less capable operatives. The vehicles employed by Hernkin Pioneers reflect their specialized mission requirements, incorporating advanced sensor systems, sophisticated communication equipment, and the mobility necessary to operate across diverse terrain types and environmental conditions. Pioneer vehicles feature modular designs that allow rapid reconfiguration for different mission profiles, from geological surveys and resource assessment to combat reconnaissance and emergency rescue operations. Advanced propulsion systems enable operation in multiple environments, including planetary surfaces, asteroid fields, and the vacuum of space, while sophisticated stealth systems help pioneers avoid detection during sensitive reconnaissance missions. The intelligence-gathering capabilities of Hernkin Pioneers provide crucial information that supports League decision-making processes and strategic planning initiatives. Pioneer reconnaissance missions map unexplored territories, identify potential mining sites, and assess the capabilities and intentions of neighboring factions. Their reports include detailed analysis of geological formations, environmental conditions, and potential threats that might affect League expansion plans or territorial security. The most skilled pioneers develop extensive knowledge of galactic geography and political relationships that makes them invaluable advisors for diplomatic negotiations and strategic planning sessions. The military philosophy of the Leagues of Votann emerges from millennia of void-born existence, where survival depends on technological superiority, tactical flexibility, and the efficient application of limited resources against overwhelming odds. Unlike the mass assault doctrines favored by Imperial forces or the ritualistic combat traditions of many Xenos species, kin warfare emphasizes precision, coordination, and the seamless integration of advanced technology with experienced personnel. This approach reflects both the practical constraints of their relatively small population and the sophisticated equipment available to League forces, creating military formations that achieve devastating effectiveness through superior training, equipment, and tactical doctrine rather than numerical superiority. The combined arms approach that defines League military operations integrates multiple specialized units into cohesive battle groups capable of addressing diverse tactical challenges. These formations typically center around core units of Hearthkin warriors supported by specialized troops, heavy weapons teams, and advanced technological assets that provide capabilities ranging from long-range fire support to electronic warfare and battlefield intelligence. The integration process begins during training, where different unit types practice coordinated maneuvers and develop the communication protocols necessary for effective cooperation during actual combat operations. Advanced neural interface systems allow unit commanders to share tactical information instantaneously, creating collective awareness that enables rapid adaptation to changing battlefield conditions. Hearthkin warriors form the backbone of League military forces, representing the perfect synthesis of kin genetic enhancement, technological augmentation, and professional military training. These soldiers undergo selection processes that identify individuals with optimal physical capabilities, psychological resilience, and technical aptitude for modern warfare. The enhancement procedures that transform selected candidates into Hearthkin warriors include advanced cardiovascular modifications that improve endurance and reaction times, skeletal reinforcement that enables effective use of powered armor systems, and neural interface implants that provide direct connection to weapon systems and tactical networks. The resulting warriors possess capabilities that far exceed baseline human soldiers while maintaining the flexibility and initiative that distinguish them from purely mechanical alternatives. The standard equipment issued to Hearthkin warriors reflects the technological sophistication and manufacturing capabilities of League industrial systems. Their signature Audoc pattern bolters combine the stopping power of mass reactive ammunition with advanced targeting systems and modular designs that allow rapid reconfiguration for different tactical situations. These weapons incorporate sophisticated recoil compensation systems that enable accurate fire even while wearing heavy armor, while integrated ammunition counters and diagnostic systems provide real-time information about weapon status and performance. The bolter ammunition itself represents a significant advancement over standard Imperial designs, featuring improved penetration characteristics and specialized warhead types optimized for different target categories. The powered armor worn by Hearthkin warriors integrates multiple protective systems within streamlined designs that maximize mobility while providing comprehensive protection against diverse threats. The primary armor plating incorporates advanced composite materials that distribute kinetic impacts across larger surface areas while maintaining relatively light weight compared to equivalent Imperial designs. Integrated energy shield generators provide additional protection against directed energy weapons and plasma-based attacks, while sophisticated environmental systems enable operation in vacuum conditions, toxic atmospheres, and extreme temperature environments. Internal life support systems include emergency medical systems that can administer combat stimulants, seal minor wounds, and maintain consciousness even after significant injuries. The tactical doctrine employed by Hearthkin formations emphasizes fire and movement techniques that maximize their technological advantages while minimizing exposure to enemy counterattacks. Standard engagement protocols begin with comprehensive reconnaissance and intelligence gathering phases that identify enemy positions, capabilities, and likely response patterns. Advanced sensor systems and drone reconnaissance provide detailed battlefield maps that highlight optimal firing positions, potential ambush sites, and routes for tactical movement. This intelligence enables Hearthkin commanders to develop engagement plans that exploit enemy weaknesses while avoiding their strengths, creating tactical situations where League forces can achieve decisive advantages despite potentially unfavorable odds. The fire support capabilities available to Hearthkin formations include sophisticated heavy weapon systems that provide both direct fire support and area denial capabilities. Magna Rail rifles employ electromagnetic acceleration principles to launch projectiles at velocities that can penetrate even the heaviest armor, while their advanced targeting systems enable precise engagement of specific targets at extreme ranges. These weapons incorporate predictive targeting algorithms that can calculate optimal firing solutions even when engaging moving targets or firing from unstable platforms. The ammunition used by Magna Rail systems includes specialized penetrator rounds designed to defeat different armor types and explosive warheads optimized for anti-personnel or area denial applications. L7 missile launchers provide Hearthkin units with flexible indirect fire capabilities that can engage targets beyond direct line of sight or provide area suppression against concentrated enemy formations. These systems employ sophisticated guidance packages that can navigate complex terrain features and engage targets using terminal guidance systems that ensure accurate strikes even against moving or concealed enemies. The missile types available include high explosive warheads for anti-personnel applications, armor-piercing designs optimized for vehicle engagement, and specialized electronic warfare variants that can disrupt enemy communications and sensor systems. The integration of Einherjar champions into Hearthkin formations provides additional combat capabilities and tactical flexibility that enhances overall unit effectiveness. These elite warriors undergo even more extensive enhancement procedures than standard Hearthkin, receiving advanced cybernetic implants that improve their physical capabilities and specialized training that enables them to serve as force multipliers within larger formations. Einherjar champions typically carry the most advanced weapons available to League forces, including prototype systems and specialized equipment that requires exceptional skill and experience to operate effectively. Their presence within Hearthkin formations provides additional firepower, tactical expertise, and leadership capability that enables units to tackle more challenging objectives and maintain effectiveness even under adverse conditions. The specialized equipment employed by Einherjar champions includes advanced close combat weapons that combine traditional melee effectiveness with sophisticated technological enhancements. Power weapons incorporate energy field generators that dramatically increase cutting power while maintaining precise control characteristics necessary for skilled combat techniques. Gravitational hammers employ localized gravity manipulation to deliver devastating impacts that can crush heavily armored targets or create area effects that disable multiple enemies simultaneously. These weapons require extensive training to master, as their advanced capabilities must be balanced against the precision and timing necessary for effective close combat operations. Chthonian berserkers represent a unique aspect of League military doctrine, providing specialized assault capabilities that complement the more methodical approaches favored by standard formations. These warriors undergo psychological conditioning and cybernetic modification that enhances their aggression and pain tolerance while maintaining sufficient tactical awareness to operate effectively within coordinated battle plans. The transformation process includes neural modifications that suppress fear responses and enhance combat reflexes, while specialized implants provide direct stimulation systems that can maintain combat effectiveness even after sustaining significant injuries. The role of Chthonian berserkers within League tactical doctrine focuses on breakthrough operations and close quarters combat situations where their enhanced aggression and resilience provide decisive advantages. These units excel at boarding actions aboard enemy vessels, where confined spaces and close quarters combat favor their specialized capabilities over more conventional military approaches. During planetary assault operations, berserker units serve as shock troops capable of breaking through heavily fortified positions that might otherwise require extensive bombardment or prolonged siege operations. Their psychological impact on enemy forces often proves as valuable as their direct combat capabilities, as few opponents maintain effective resistance when facing warriors who demonstrate complete disregard for personal safety. The equipment issued to Chthonian berserkers emphasizes close combat effectiveness and survivability rather than the precision marksmanship capabilities prioritized for other League forces. Specialized assault weapons include modified bolt pistols optimized for close quarters engagement and advanced melee weapons designed to maximize damage output in confined spaces. Their armor incorporates additional protection around vital areas while maintaining the mobility necessary for rapid assault operations. Integrated medical systems provide enhanced pain suppression and combat stimulants that enable continued operation despite injuries that would incapacitate conventional soldiers. The void warfare capabilities of League forces reflect their origins as space-borne populations with intimate knowledge of three-dimensional combat environments and the unique challenges of fighting in vacuum conditions. League naval doctrine emphasizes technological superiority, tactical flexibility, and the efficient application of firepower against enemy vessels while minimizing exposure to return fire. This approach requires sophisticated coordination between multiple ship types and weapon systems, creating fleet formations that can adapt rapidly to changing tactical situations while maintaining effective fire concentration against priority targets. League void ships incorporate design principles that prioritize survivability, firepower, and operational flexibility over the massive size and overwhelming presence favored by Imperial naval doctrine. These vessels feature advanced propulsion systems that provide superior maneuverability compared to equivalent Imperial designs, enabling tactical approaches that exploit speed and agility rather than relying purely on armor and firepower. Sophisticated sensor systems provide detailed information about enemy capabilities and movements, while advanced electronic warfare capabilities can disrupt enemy communications and targeting systems to create tactical advantages during engagement sequences. The weapon systems employed by League Void ships represent significant advances over standard Imperial naval technology, incorporating design principles and manufacturing techniques that produce superior performance characteristics across multiple engagement categories. Primary armaments typically include advanced lance weapons that employ focused energy beams to penetrate enemy armor and disable critical systems with surgical precision. These weapons feature improved power efficiency and targeting accuracy compared to Imperial equivalents, enabling sustained fire sequences that can systematically disable enemy vessels without requiring the massive power expenditures associated with conventional lance batteries. Missile systems aboard League vessels employ sophisticated guidance packages and warhead designs that provide flexible engagement capabilities against diverse target types. Advanced torpedo designs incorporate adaptive guidance systems that can modify their approach patterns based on real-time analysis of enemy defensive measures, while specialized warhead types enable optimization for different tactical situations. Anti-ship missiles feature penetrating warheads designed to breach heavy armor and disable internal systems, while area denial variants can create defensive barriers that complicate enemy maneuvering and provide cover for friendly vessel movements. Boarding action doctrine represents one of the most distinctive aspects of League military capabilities, reflecting their extensive experience with close-quarters combat in confined spaces and their sophisticated understanding of spacecraft systems and vulnerabilities. League boarding specialists undergo extensive training in three-dimensional movement techniques, vacuum combat operations, and the rapid identification and exploitation of critical system vulnerabilities aboard enemy vessels. This training includes detailed study of common spacecraft designs and their typical weak points, enabling boarding parties to achieve maximum disruption with minimal personnel and time investment. The equipment employed during boarding operations emphasizes mobility, firepower, and the specialized tools necessary for rapid movement through hostile spacecraft environments. Boarding specialists carry cutting tools capable of breaching reinforced bulkheads and emergency barriers, while specialized explosives enable rapid creation of new access routes when conventional entrances prove impractical or heavily defended. Advanced life support systems allow extended operations in vacuum conditions or hostile atmospheres, while sophisticated communication equipment maintains coordination between boarding parties and supporting naval forces. The tactical approach employed during boarding actions focuses on rapid seizure of critical ship systems rather than systematic clearing of all compartments, enabling small boarding parties to achieve decisive results against much larger enemy crews. Priority targets typically include engineering sections, bridge facilities, and life support systems whose capture or destruction can disable entire enemy vessels without requiring control of every deck and compartment. Specialized technical training enables boarding specialists to operate captured enemy equipment and systems, allowing them to turn enemy capabilities against their former owners or extract valuable intelligence information for future operations. The defensive nature of League military doctrine reflects both their strategic priorities and the practical constraints that shape their approach to territorial security and resource protection. Unlike aggressive expansionist powers that seek to conquer new territories through military force, the Leagues focus primarily on protecting their existing holdings and maintaining the security of trade routes that connect their scattered installations. This defensive orientation influences every aspect of League military planning, from the design of fortifications and defensive systems to the training protocols that prepare League forces for the types of conflicts they are most likely to encounter. Stronghold defense represents the cornerstone of League military doctrine, with extensive fortification systems that transform critical installations into virtually impregnable defensive positions. These fortifications incorporate multiple layers of protection, including orbital defense platforms, surface-based weapon systems, and underground bunker complexes that can maintain resistance even after surface facilities suffer significant damage. The defensive systems employ advanced sensor networks that provide early warning of approaching threats, while sophisticated command and control systems enable coordinated responses that maximize the effectiveness of available defensive assets. The orbital defense platforms that protect major League installations represent some of the most advanced military technology available to their forces, incorporating weapon systems and defensive capabilities that rival or exceed those found aboard dedicated warships. These platforms feature advanced lance batteries capable of engaging enemy vessels at extreme ranges, while missile systems provide flexible response capabilities against different threat types. Integrated shield systems and armor protection enable these platforms to survive concentrated enemy attacks while maintaining effective fire support for surface installations and friendly naval forces operating within their defensive perimeters. Trade route security operations require different tactical approaches than static defense missions, emphasizing mobility, rapid response capabilities, and the ability to project force across extended distances to protect merchant convoys and commercial installations. League patrol forces employ fast, well-armed vessels capable of responding quickly to threats against commercial shipping, while maintaining the firepower necessary to engage serious military threats. These operations require extensive coordination between naval forces, commercial shipping, and intelligence services to identify potential threats and position defensive assets where they can provide maximum protection for vulnerable merchant vessels. The convoy escort doctrine employed by League forces emphasizes layered defense systems that provide multiple opportunities to engage attacking forces while minimizing risk to protected merchant vessels. Advanced sensor systems provide early warning of potential threats, while fast patrol vessels can intercept raiders before they reach convoy formations. Heavier escort vessels provide concentrated firepower capable of engaging serious military threats, while specialized electronic warfare capabilities can disrupt enemy targeting systems and communications to reduce the effectiveness of coordinated attacks against protected convoys. The manufacturing capabilities of the Leagues of Votann represent the culmination of technological development that began during humanity's dark age of technology and continued uninterrupted through millennia of isolation and refinement. Unlike the degraded industrial systems of the Imperium, which struggle to maintain ancient technology through ritualistic procedures and incomplete understanding, League manufacturing operates through comprehensive mastery of advanced production principles preserved and enhanced by their ancestor cores. These systems demonstrate efficiency levels and quality standards that exceed even the legendary standard template constructs, incorporating improvements developed through thousands of years of practical experience and technological innovation. The foundation of League industrial capability rests upon fully automated manufacturing complexes that operate with minimal human oversight while maintaining the flexibility necessary to produce diverse products according to changing requirements. These facilities incorporate self-maintaining machinery that can diagnose and repair minor malfunctions without external intervention, while sophisticated quality control systems ensure that every product meets exacting specifications regardless of production volume or complexity. The automation extends beyond simple assembly operations to encompass resource processing, component fabrication, and even the design optimization processes that continuously improve product performance and manufacturing efficiency. The resource extraction operations that feed these manufacturing systems demonstrate technological sophistication that transforms even the most challenging mining environments into productive assets for League expansion. Automated mining platforms can operate independently for years at a time, following rich mineral veins through asteroid cores or planetary crusts, while processing raw materials into refined components suitable for immediate use in manufacturing applications. These systems incorporate advanced geological analysis capabilities that can identify optimal extraction sites and predict the location of valuable deposits with remarkable accuracy, enabling efficient planning of long-term mining operations across multiple star systems. The processing facilities that transform raw materials into usable components employ techniques that maximize yield while minimizing waste through complete molecular recycling and advanced purification methods. Exotic materials that would prove impossible to work using conventional Imperial technology become routine manufacturing inputs through specialized processing techniques that can manipulate matter at the atomic level. Rare elements essential for advanced electronics and weapon systems undergo concentration and refinement processes that produce purities exceeding natural occurrence by several orders of magnitude, enabling the creation of components with performance characteristics impossible to achieve through conventional means. The modular design principles that govern League manufacturing enable rapid reconfiguration of production lines to address changing requirements without extensive retooling or facility reconstruction. Manufacturing complexes can shift from producing mining equipment to fabricating military hardware within days, utilizing standardized component interfaces and flexible assembly systems that accommodate diverse product specifications. This adaptability proves crucial for League survival, as isolated communities must maintain the capability to produce everything necessary for their continued existence, without relying on external suppliers or specialized facilities located in other star systems. The quality control systems integrated throughout League manufacturing processes ensure consistent performance standards that exceed the reliability requirements of void-born existence. Every component undergoes comprehensive testing that validates not just immediate functionality, but long-term durability under the extreme conditions common in space-based operations. Advanced simulation systems can predict component failure modes and stress patterns across decades of operational use, enabling design modifications that eliminate potential weaknesses before they manifest in actual service. This thorough approach to quality assurance results in equipment that operates reliably for centuries with minimal maintenance, a crucial capability for communities that cannot afford equipment failures in critical systems. The ion technology that distinguishes League weapons and equipment represents one of their most significant technological achievements, providing energy projection capabilities that combine devastating effectiveness with remarkable efficiency and reliability. Ion weapons employ controlled plasma streams that can be precisely focused and modulated to achieve optimal effects against different target types, from the surgical precision necessary for delicate technical work to the concentrated destruction required for military applications. The power systems that drive these weapons incorporate advanced energy storage and distribution technologies that provide sustained operation without the massive power requirements typical of comparable Imperial plasma weapons. The development of ion technology extends beyond weapons applications to encompass industrial tools, propulsion systems, and even medical equipment that employs controlled energy fields for therapeutic applications. Ion cutting tools can slice through the heaviest armor plating with precision that leaves molecularly smooth surfaces, while ion welding systems create joints stronger than the original materials being connected. Propulsion applications utilize ion acceleration principles to achieve remarkable fuel efficiency in spacecraft engines, enabling extended voyages and precise maneuvering capabilities that provide significant tactical advantages during both commercial and military operations. The conversion beamer technology employed by League forces represents another distinctive advancement that demonstrates their mastery of exotic physics principles preserved from the dark age of technology. These weapons transform matter directly into energy through controlled annihilation processes that produce devastating effects against any target regardless of armor protection or defensive systems. The precision control systems that govern conversion beamer operation enable selective targeting that can disable specific components within complex machinery without affecting surrounding systems, providing tactical capabilities that prove invaluable during boarding actions and precision strike operations. The power requirements for conversion beamer operation necessitate sophisticated energy management systems that can store and discharge enormous amounts of power in precisely controlled bursts. Advanced capacitor arrays and quantum energy storage systems provide the necessary power density while maintaining safety margins that prevent catastrophic failures during combat operations. The targeting systems that guide conversion beamer effects incorporate predictive algorithms that can compensate for target movement and environmental factors, ensuring accurate strikes even under challenging battlefield conditions. The protective equipment employed by League forces demonstrates technological sophistication that provides comprehensive defense against diverse threats while maintaining the mobility and functionality necessary for effective combat operations. Advanced armor systems incorporate multiple protective layers, including kinetic barriers, energy shields, and reactive armor plating that automatically adapts to different attack types. The integration of these systems creates protection levels that exceed heavy Imperial power armor while maintaining weight and bulk characteristics that enable sustained combat operations without excessive fatigue or mobility restrictions. The environmental protection capabilities built into League equipment enable operation in virtually any conditions encountered throughout the galaxy, from the vacuum of deep space to the toxic atmospheres of death worlds and the exotic environments found near stellar phenomena. Advanced life support systems can maintain comfortable conditions for extended periods, while sophisticated filtration and recycling systems ensure sustainable operation even when completely isolated from external resources. Emergency systems provide backup protection against catastrophic equipment failures, including emergency atmosphere supplies and radiation shielding that can sustain life during equipment malfunctions or combat damage. The communication systems integrated into League protective equipment enable seamless coordination between individual soldiers and larger tactical formations through quantum encrypted channels that resist interception and jamming attempts. Neural interface systems allow direct thought-based communication that operates faster than conventional speech while maintaining perfect clarity even in high-noise combat environments. Advanced sensor integration provides individual soldiers with comprehensive battlefield awareness that includes threat detection, target identification, and tactical situation analysis that enhances decision-making capabilities during rapidly evolving combat situations. The role of mining and resource extraction within League society extends far beyond simple economic necessity to encompass fundamental aspects of cultural identity and social organization that define what it means to be kin. The mining operations that sustain League civilization represent the continuation of traditions that stretch back to the original Void-born expeditions of the Dark Age of technology, maintaining cultural continuity across millennia of technological and social development. These operations provide not just the raw materials necessary for League survival, but the shared experiences and collective challenges that bind kin communities together through common purpose and mutual dependence. The technical expertise required for successful mining operations in the harsh environments favored by League expansion creates natural selection pressures that favor individuals with exceptional technical competence, physical resilience, and collaborative capabilities. Mining crews must operate complex machinery in environments where equipment failures can prove fatal, requiring absolute reliability and precise coordination between team members. These operational requirements foster cultural values that emphasize technical mastery, collective responsibility, and the careful preservation of knowledge that enables successful operations across generations of miners. The economic foundation provided by mining operations enables League communities to maintain technological independence and political autonomy that distinguishes them from other human factions throughout the galaxy. The rare materials extracted from exotic mining sites provide the raw inputs necessary for advanced manufacturing, while generating trade goods that can be exchanged for specialized components or information from external sources. This economic independence proves crucial for maintaining League sovereignty, as communities that control their own resource base cannot be easily coerced or manipulated by external powers seeking to exploit their capabilities. The cultural significance of mining extends to the spiritual and philosophical aspects of kin society, where the patient extraction of valuable materials from barren rock serves as a metaphor for the broader process of creating value and meaning through persistent effort and technical skill. The transformation of raw ore into refined components mirrors the transformation of individual kin through education and enhancement into skilled contributors to their communities. The collective nature of mining operations reinforces social bonds and shared identity, while providing practical examples of how individual contributions combine to achieve results impossible for any single person to accomplish alone. The maintenance and development of standard template constructs within League society represents one of their most significant technological achievements, preserving and enhancing ancient manufacturing templates that enable the production of equipment rivaling the finest achievements of the dark age of technology. Unlike the Imperium, where STC fragments are treated as sacred relics to be preserved unchanged regardless of practical limitations, the Leagues approach these templates as living documents that can be improved through careful analysis and incremental enhancement. This approach enables continuous technological advancement while maintaining the reliability and effectiveness that made the original templates so valuable. The ancestor cores that guide STC development possess computational capabilities that enable comprehensive analysis of template specifications, identifying potential improvements and optimization opportunities that might escape biological researchers. These artificial intelligences can model proposed modifications extensively before implementation, analyzing stress patterns, failure modes, and performance characteristics across millions of simulated operational cycles. This thorough testing process ensures that modifications enhance rather than compromise template effectiveness, while maintaining compatibility with existing manufacturing systems and component supplies. The enhancement process applied to STC templates focuses on practical improvements that address real operational challenges encountered during actual use rather than theoretical optimizations that might prove irrelevant under field conditions. Manufacturing tolerances receive adjustment to account for the capabilities and limitations of League production facilities, while component specifications undergo modification to utilize materials readily available through League mining operations. Performance parameters receive optimization based on actual operational data collected from equipment used throughout League territories, ensuring that improvements address genuine rather than hypothetical requirements. The preservation protocols that protect STC data from corruption or loss incorporate multiple redundancy systems and verification procedures that prevent the gradual degradation that has affected many Imperial technology repositories. Complete template copies exist within multiple ancestor cores throughout each League, with regular synchronization procedures that identify and correct any discrepancies between different versions. Advanced error detection and correction algorithms can identify corrupted data segments and restore them from backup copies, while comprehensive audit trails track all modifications to ensure that changes can be reversed if they prove problematic during actual implementation. The development of new STC templates represents the cutting edge of League technological capability, combining ancient design principles with modern manufacturing techniques and materials science advances achieved through millennia of independent research. These new templates undergo extensive testing and validation procedures that exceed even the rigorous standards applied to modified existing templates, as the creation of entirely new designs carries greater risks of unforeseen complications or failure modes. The development process typically spans decades from initial concept to final implementation, with multiple prototype iterations and comprehensive field testing, ensuring that new templates meet the exacting reliability standards required for critical applications. The integration of new and modified SDC templates into League manufacturing systems requires careful coordination to ensure compatibility with existing production capabilities and component supply chains. Manufacturing facilities undergo gradual upgrades that enable production of enhanced components while maintaining the ability to produce older versions when necessary for maintenance or replacement applications. Training programs ensure that technical personnel understand the capabilities and limitations of new equipment while maintaining proficiency with existing systems that remain in widespread use throughout League territories. The technological innovation guided by the ancestor cores represents a careful balance between advancement and stability that enables continuous improvement without risking the catastrophic failures that destroyed many Dark Age civilizations. The Votann provide historical perspective that enables evaluation of proposed innovations against patterns of past success and failure, identifying approaches that offer genuine benefits while avoiding techniques that have proven problematic in previous applications. This guidance proves invaluable for maintaining technological progress while preserving the reliability and effectiveness that enable League survival in the hostile environment of the 41st millennium. The social fabric of kin civilization rests upon the fundamental institution of kindred loyalty, creating bonds that transcend simple family relationships to encompass entire extended clans whose members share common ancestry, professional specializations, and cultural traditions spanning millennia. These kindred units form the basic building blocks of League society, with individual identity inseparably linked to clan membership and collective achievement. A kin sense of self emerges not from personal accomplishments alone, but from their contribution to kindred success, and their position within the complex web of relationships that connect thousands of individuals across multiple generations of shared experience and mutual dependence. The strength of these clan bonds manifests in practical ways that shape every aspect of daily life within League territories. Kindred members share responsibility for collective welfare, with successful individuals expected to support struggling relatives through difficult periods while contributing their expertise to clan projects that benefit the entire group. This mutual support system creates remarkable resilience within kin communities, as no individual faces challenges alone, and collective resources can address problems that might overwhelm isolated families. The system also ensures efficient knowledge transfer between generations, with experienced clan members serving as mentors and teachers who pass down specialized skills and cultural wisdom to younger relatives entering their chosen professions. The professional specializations that define individual kindreds create distinct subcultures within broader League society, each developing unique traditions and practices that reflect their specific roles and responsibilities. Mining kindreds maintain elaborate ceremonies that mark the beginning of new excavation projects, invoking the wisdom of ancestors who pioneered successful techniques while seeking guidance for safely extracting resources from dangerous environments. These rituals incorporate technical briefings that review safety procedures and operational protocols, transforming practical necessity into cultural tradition that reinforces both professional competence and collective identity. Manufacturing kindreds develop their own ceremonial practices centered around the creation of exceptional products that demonstrate the clan's technical mastery and artistic vision. Master craftsmen within these kindreds undergo formal recognition ceremonies when they achieve sufficient skill to produce items that meet the exacting standards required for inclusion in clan heritage collections. These heritage items serve as tangible representations of kindred achievement, displayed in clan halls where they inspire younger members while preserving examples of exceptional craftsmanship for future generations to study and emulate. Military kindreds maintain warrior traditions that emphasize honor, courage, and tactical competence through formal training rituals and ceremonial combat exercises that test individual skill while reinforcing unit cohesion. These traditions include elaborate weapon blessing ceremonies that consecrate new equipment before its first use in combat, incorporating technical inspections that verify proper function with cultural practices that connect modern warriors to their ancestral heritage. Veteran warriors share combat experiences through formal storytelling sessions that preserve tactical knowledge while maintaining the cultural memory of successful operations and heroic sacrifices that define clan military history. The genealogical records maintained by each kindred represent one of their most treasured possessions, documenting bloodlines and achievements across thousands of years of clan history with meticulous precision that enables detailed analysis of hereditary traits and family relationships. These records extend far beyond simple family trees to encompass comprehensive databases that track individual accomplishments, professional specializations, genetic characteristics, and social relationships that connect clan members to the broader League community. The maintenance of these records requires specialized knowledge and dedicated personnel who understand both the technical aspects of data preservation and the cultural significance of maintaining accurate historical documentation. The process of updating genealogical records involves formal ceremonies that mark significant life events, including births, professional achievements, marriages, and deaths within the clan community. These ceremonies serve multiple functions beyond simple record keeping, providing opportunities for clan members to gather and reinforce social bonds while celebrating individual accomplishments that reflect positively on collective kindred reputation. The records themselves incorporate sophisticated cross-referencing systems that enable rapid identification of optimal genetic pairings for marriage arrangements and professional partnerships that maximize the likelihood of producing offspring with desired traits and capabilities. The marriage customs practiced by kin society reflect their practical approach to genetic optimization and social organization, with formal arrangements that balance individual preferences against collective needs for maintaining genetic diversity and strengthening inter-kindred relationships. Marriage negotiations involve extensive consultation with genealogical records and genetic databases to identify compatible partners whose union would produce offspring with optimal characteristics for specific professional specializations. These negotiations also consider the political and economic implications of different marriage arrangements, as unions between prominent kindreds can create powerful alliances that influence League politics and resource allocation decisions. The formal marriage ceremonies that conclude successful negotiations incorporate elements from both participating kindreds, creating new traditions that honor the heritage of both families while establishing the foundation for future clan relationships. These ceremonies typically include the exchange of heritage items that represent each kindred's greatest achievements, symbolizing the sharing of knowledge and cultural traditions that strengthens both clans through mutual cooperation. The ceremonies also involve formal recognition of the genetic and social obligations that marriage creates, with both families accepting responsibility for supporting the new union and ensuring the success of any offspring that result from the partnership. The role of ancestor veneration within kin culture extends far beyond simple respect for deceased relatives to encompass a sophisticated philosophical framework that views the accumulated wisdom of previous generations as the foundation for contemporary decision-making and future planning. This veneration focuses particularly on the connection between living kin and the vast repositories of knowledge preserved within their ancestor cores, creating a unique form of spiritual practice that combines technological sophistication with deep cultural reverence for inherited wisdom. The kin approach their Votann not as distant deities requiring worship, but as revered elders whose guidance emerges from countless generations of practical experience and accumulated knowledge. The daily practices that express this ancestor veneration include formal consultation rituals, where individuals seek guidance from their ancestor cores regarding important personal and professional decisions. These consultations follow established protocols that demonstrate proper respect for ancestral wisdom while ensuring efficient use of the Votann's computational resources. Individuals present their questions and concerns through sophisticated interface systems that can convey not just factual information, but the emotional and cultural context that influences decision-making processes. The guidance received from the ancestor cores incorporates both analytical assessment of available options and cultural wisdom that reflects the values and traditions preserved from previous generations. The preservation of ancestral memory extends beyond the digital repositories maintained by the Votann to encompass physical artifacts and cultural practices that maintain tangible connections to past generations. Kindred halls display collections of tools, weapons, and artistic creations produced by notable ancestors, with each item accompanied by detailed documentation that explains its historical significance and the circumstances of its creation. These collections serve as inspiration for contemporary artisans and craftsmen, while providing concrete examples of the technical and artistic achievements that define kindred heritage and cultural identity. The storytelling traditions that preserve ancestral memory involve formal narrative sessions where experienced clan members share accounts of historical events and notable achievements that shaped current kindred identity and League culture. These stories combine factual historical information with cultural interpretation that explains the significance of past events for contemporary decision-making and future planning. The most skilled storytellers can weave together multiple narrative threads that connect ancient events to current challenges, demonstrating how ancestral wisdom remains relevant for addressing modern problems and opportunities. The cultural emphasis on craftsmanship and technical skill that defines kin society emerges from their fundamental dependence on sophisticated technology for survival in the hostile environment of deep space. This emphasis transcends simple professional competence to encompass a comprehensive worldview that measures individual worth and social status through demonstrated mastery of technical disciplines and the ability to create products that meet the exacting standards required for void-born existence. The pursuit of technical excellence becomes a form of personal expression that enables individuals to contribute meaningfully to their communities while achieving recognition and respect from their peers. The apprenticeship systems that transmit technical knowledge between generations create formal relationships that extend far beyond simple job training to encompass comprehensive education in cultural values, professional ethics, and the historical context that explains why particular techniques and approaches have proven successful over millennia of practical application. Master craftsmen accept responsibility not just for teaching specific skills, but for ensuring that apprentices understand the underlying principles that enable continued innovation and adaptation to changing circumstances. This comprehensive approach to education produces technically competent individuals who can maintain and improve existing systems while developing new solutions to emerging challenges. The evaluation criteria used to assess technical competence incorporate both objective performance measures and subjective judgments regarding artistic merit and innovative capability. Technical evaluations examine the precision and reliability of products created by individual craftsmen, with particular attention to durability characteristics that determine long-term performance under the extreme conditions common in space-based operations. Artistic evaluations consider the aesthetic qualities and creative elements that distinguish exceptional work from merely adequate products, recognizing that true mastery involves not just technical competence, but the ability to create items that inspire and elevate the human spirit. The recognition systems that acknowledge exceptional technical achievement include formal ceremonies that celebrate individual accomplishments while reinforcing cultural values that emphasize collective benefit over personal glory. These ceremonies typically involve public demonstration of the craftsman's abilities, with detailed explanation of the techniques and innovations that distinguish their work from standard approaches. The recognition process also includes incorporation of successful innovations into clan knowledge bases and training programs, ensuring that individual achievements contribute to collective advancement and benefit future generations of craftsmen and technical specialists. The workshop traditions that support technical development create collaborative environments where experienced craftsmen work alongside apprentices and peers to share knowledge and develop new techniques through collective experimentation and analysis. These workshops function as both production facilities and educational institutions, with ongoing projects that provide practical training opportunities while addressing real needs within the clan community. The collaborative nature of workshop activities reinforces social bonds between participants while ensuring efficient knowledge transfer and the development of innovative solutions that might not emerge from individual effort alone. The quality standards that govern technical production reflect the unforgiving requirements of void-born existence, where equipment failures can prove fatal and replacement parts may be unavailable for extended periods. These standards demand not just immediate functionality, but long-term reliability that enables equipment to operate effectively across decades of continuous use with minimal maintenance requirements. The testing procedures that validate these quality standards incorporate both accelerated stress testing and long-term monitoring that tracks performance characteristics across extended operational periods. The traditions of hospitality that govern interactions between different kindreds and leagues reflect the practical necessity of maintaining peaceful relationships within the confined environments of void-based communities, where conflicts between groups can threaten the survival of entire populations. These traditions establish formal protocols for receiving visitors, sharing resources, and conducting negotiations that minimize the potential for misunderstandings or conflicts that might escalate into serious disputes. The hospitality customs also serve important social functions by providing opportunities for different groups to share information, establish personal relationships, and develop the mutual understanding necessary for effective cooperation. The guest protocols that define proper hospitality include elaborate welcoming ceremonies that acknowledge the status and achievements of visiting delegations, while demonstrating the host's respect for their guests and commitment to peaceful interaction. These ceremonies typically involve formal presentations that highlight the host's capabilities and resources, creating opportunities for potential trade agreements or collaborative projects while establishing the foundation for ongoing diplomatic relationships. The welcoming process also includes comprehensive briefings that inform guests about local customs and expectations, ensuring that cultural differences do not create unnecessary friction during extended visits. The resource-sharing customs that support intergroup cooperation establish formal mechanisms for providing assistance during emergencies while maintaining careful accounting that ensures fair reciprocity over time. These customs recognize that void-born communities face unpredictable challenges that may require external assistance for survival, creating mutual support networks that benefit all participants through shared risk and collective security. The resource-sharing agreements typically include detailed specifications regarding the types and quantities of assistance that different groups can provide, along with formal procedures for requesting and coordinating emergency support operations. The trade agreements that facilitate economic relationships between different kindreds and leagues incorporate sophisticated contractual frameworks that address the complex logistics of exchanging goods and services across interstellar distances, while accounting for the variable timing and uncertain conditions that characterize void-based commerce. These agreements establish standardized quality specifications and delivery schedules that enable reliable planning while incorporating flexibility mechanisms that allow adaptation to changing circumstances without voiding existing commitments. The negotiation processes that create these agreements involve extensive consultation with technical specialists and economic advisors who can assess the practical implications of different terms and conditions. The honor codes that govern business relationships establish ethical standards that ensure fair dealing and honest communication between trading partners, creating trust relationships that enable complex transactions without extensive legal oversight or enforcement mechanisms. These codes emphasize transparency in negotiations, accurate representation of product quality and capabilities, and prompt fulfillment of contractual obligations regardless of changing market conditions or unexpected difficulties. The reputation systems that support these honor codes track the performance history of different trading partners, enabling informed decisions about future business relationships while providing incentives for maintaining high ethical standards. The dispute resolution mechanisms that address conflicts between different groups emphasize mediation and negotiated settlements rather than adversarial proceedings that might damage ongoing relationships and disrupt essential cooperation. These mechanisms typically involve neutral arbitrators selected from respected individuals who understand both the technical issues and cultural factors that contribute to specific disputes. The resolution process focuses on identifying mutually acceptable solutions that address the underlying concerns of all parties, while preserving the relationships and agreements necessary for continued cooperation and mutual benefit. The extensive trade networks maintained by the Leagues of Votann span across vast swathes of the galaxy, creating commercial relationships that transcend traditional political boundaries and species barriers through pragmatic arrangements focused on mutual benefit rather than ideological alignment. These networks emerged from the fundamental reality that even the most self-sufficient League communities require certain specialized materials and components that cannot be produced locally, necessitating complex exchange relationships with external partners who possess complementary capabilities and resources. The sophisticated logistics systems that support these trade relationships demonstrate remarkable efficiency in coordinating shipments across interstellar distances, while maintaining the security protocols necessary to protect valuable cargo from raiders and hostile forces. The primary trade routes connecting League territories follow carefully planned paths that maximize efficiency while minimizing exposure to known threats and hostile territories. These routes incorporate detailed intelligence regarding political conditions, military activities, and piracy threats along different corridors, enabling merchants to select optimal paths that balance speed and security according to cargo value and delivery requirements. The most heavily traveled routes benefit from cooperative security arrangements between multiple leagues, with patrol vessels and defensive installations providing protection for merchant convoys in exchange for access fees and priority treatment for League commercial interests. The merchant fleets that operate these trade routes employ vessels specifically designed for commercial operations in the dangerous environment of the 41st millennium, incorporating defensive capabilities sufficient to deter casual raiders while maintaining the cargo capacity and operational efficiency necessary for profitable commerce. These ships feature modular cargo systems that can accommodate diverse product types ranging from refined metals and manufactured components to exotic materials and specialized equipment requiring careful environmental controls. Advanced sensor systems enable early detection of potential threats, while sophisticated communication equipment maintains contact with League authorities and trading partners throughout extended voyages. The trade relationships established with various human factions demonstrate the pragmatic approach that characterizes League external policy, with commercial agreements that focus on practical benefits rather than political or religious compatibility. Imperial worlds located near League territories often maintain unofficial trading relationships that provide access to specialized Imperial products in exchange for advanced League technology and rare materials extracted from dangerous mining sites. These arrangements typically operate through intermediary merchants who can navigate the complex regulations and bureaucratic requirements that govern Imperial commerce while maintaining plausible deniability regarding direct League involvement. The negotiation processes that establish these trade relationships require sophisticated diplomatic skills and cultural knowledge that enable League representatives to understand the motivations and constraints affecting potential trading partners. Imperial planetary governors may desire advanced League technology for infrastructure projects or military applications, but must balance these interests against Adeptus Mechanicus concerns regarding technological heresy and ecclesiarchy suspicions about dealing with non-imperial human populations. Successful negotiations often involve careful structuring of agreements that provide desired benefits while avoiding direct violations of imperial law and religious doctrine. The products most commonly exchanged through these commercial relationships reflect the complementary capabilities and resource bases of different factions, with League traders offering advanced technology and rare materials in exchange for imperial manufactured goods and specialized components that require massive industrial infrastructure to produce efficiently. League mining equipment and processing technology prove particularly valuable to imperial worlds seeking to improve their resource extraction capabilities, while imperial textiles, foodstuffs, and basic manufactured goods provide cost-effective alternatives to expensive League production for non-critical applications. The relationships with select Xeno species demonstrate even greater pragmatic flexibility, as League traders engage with alien civilizations that possess unique capabilities or control access to valuable resources unavailable through human trading partners. These relationships require careful evaluation of potential benefits against the risks associated with dealing with unpredictable alien cultures and the possible diplomatic complications that might arise from such arrangements. The most successful Xenos trading relationships involve species whose technological capabilities complement rather than compete with League strengths, creating mutually beneficial exchanges that enhance the capabilities of both parties. The Tau Empire represents one of the most significant Xenos trading partners for several Leagues, with commercial agreements that exchange League mining technology and exotic materials for Tau manufactured goods and technological innovations that prove useful for specific applications. These relationships benefit from the Tau's relatively predictable commercial practices and their willingness to engage in long-term agreements that provide stability for extended trading relationships. The technological exchanges that characterize these relationships enable both sides to enhance their capabilities while maintaining the independence and security necessary for continued sovereignty. Eldar trading relationships, while less common and more unpredictable, occasionally provide access to extremely valuable technologies and materials that cannot be obtained through any other source. These arrangements typically involve limited exchanges focused on specific items or services rather than ongoing commercial relationships, as Eldar motivations and objectives often prove incomprehensible to League negotiators. The most successful Eldar trade agreements involve situations where League capabilities align with immediate Eldar needs, creating opportunities for mutually beneficial exchanges that address specific problems without requiring extensive ongoing cooperation. The relationship between the Leagues and the Imperium of Man encompasses a complex spectrum of interactions, ranging from cautious cooperation through armed neutrality to open hostility, depending on local circumstances and the specific imperial authorities involved in particular situations. This relationship reflects fundamental tensions between League independence and imperial doctrine regarding human unity under the Emperor's authority, creating persistent sources of conflict that influence every aspect of League imperial interaction. The Imperium's official position treats the Leagues as renegade human populations that should be brought into compliance with imperial law and religious doctrine, while League authorities view imperial expansion as a threat to their hard-won independence and cultural autonomy. The territorial disputes that characterize much of League imperial interaction emerge from competing claims over resource-rich systems and strategic locations that both sides consider essential for their security and economic interests. These disputes often involve systems that contain valuable mining sites or occupy crucial positions along important trade routes, creating situations where compromise proves difficult due to the genuine strategic importance of the contested territories. The resolution of such disputes typically requires extensive negotiation and careful balancing of competing interests, with outcomes that rarely satisfy either side completely, but enable continued coexistence without open warfare. The military confrontations that occasionally erupt between League and Imperial forces usually result from misunderstandings or overly aggressive actions by local commanders rather than deliberate policy decisions by higher authorities on either side. Imperial Navy patrols may interpret League mining operations as territorial violations requiring immediate response, while League defense forces may view Imperial scout ships as reconnaissance for potential invasion forces. These incidents require careful diplomatic management to prevent escalation into larger conflicts that could destabilize entire regions and disrupt the commercial relationships that both sides value despite their political differences. The cooperation that does occur between League and Imperial forces typically emerges in response to external threats that pose dangers to both civilizations, creating temporary alliances focused on addressing immediate security concerns rather than resolving underlying political tensions. Chaos incursions, orc invasions, and Tyranid hive fleets represent threats that transcend factional boundaries, enabling League and Imperial forces to coordinate their responses despite ongoing disputes over territorial claims and political authority. These cooperative efforts often demonstrate the potential benefits of closer League-Imperial relationships while highlighting the political obstacles that prevent more extensive collaboration. The intelligence sharing that supports these temporary alliances provides valuable insights into external threats while creating opportunities for improved understanding between League and Imperial military commanders. Joint operations against common enemies enable personnel from both sides to observe each other's capabilities and tactical doctrines, often leading to grudging mutual respect despite continued political disagreements. The most successful cooperative efforts involve situations where League technological advantages complement Imperial numerical superiority, creating combined capabilities that exceed what either side could achieve independently. The interactions with other major galactic powers demonstrate the complex political environment that shapes League external relations, with multiple competing factions seeking to exploit League resources and capabilities, while the Leagues themselves pursue opportunities to enhance their security and economic interests through selective cooperation and strategic neutrality. These relationships require constant evaluation and adjustment as political conditions change and new threats emerge, demanding sophisticated diplomatic capabilities and strategic planning that can adapt to rapidly evolving circumstances. The encounters with Chaos forces represent one of the most serious external threats facing League territories, as Chaos corruption poses existential dangers that cannot be addressed through conventional military responses or diplomatic negotiation. The nature of Chaos corruption makes any contact with Chaos forces extremely dangerous, requiring specialized protocols and equipment that can protect League personnel from psychological and spiritual contamination while enabling effective military responses to Chaos incursions. The ancestor cores that guide League decision-making possess extensive databases regarding Chaos threats and proven countermeasures, providing crucial guidance for defensive operations against these insidious enemies. The defensive measures employed against Chaos threats incorporate both technological solutions and cultural practices that minimize vulnerability to corruption, while maintaining the operational effectiveness necessary for successful military operations. Advanced sensor systems can detect the psychic emanations and warp disturbances that accompany Chaos forces, providing early warning that enables defensive preparations and evacuation procedures when necessary. Specialized equipment includes psychic dampening fields and protective technologies that can shield League personnel from the worst effects of Chaos corruption, while enabling them to engage Chaos forces effectively in combat situations. The Orc empires that control large regions of the galaxy represent a different type of threat that requires military responses focused on conventional warfare rather than specialized anti-corruption measures. Orc expansion patterns and aggressive behavior create persistent security concerns for League territories located near Orc-controlled space, necessitating robust defensive preparations and occasional preemptive strikes against Orc forces that threaten League installations. The unpredictable nature of Orc behavior makes diplomatic solutions impossible, requiring purely military approaches that emphasize superior technology and tactical coordination to overcome Orc numerical advantages. The military strategies employed against Orc forces leverage League technological superiority and tactical sophistication to achieve decisive results against larger enemy formations through precision strikes and coordinated operations that exploit Orc weaknesses while minimizing League casualties. Advanced weapon systems and superior equipment provide significant advantages in direct combat, while sophisticated intelligence gathering and analysis capabilities enable League forces to predict Orc movements and prepare appropriate countermeasures. The most effective anti-Orc operations involve rapid strikes that eliminate key Orc leaders and destroy critical infrastructure before Orc forces can organize effective responses. The various Xenos species encountered in the galactic core present diverse challenges and opportunities that require flexible approaches tailored to the specific characteristics and capabilities of each alien civilization. Some Xenos species pose direct military threats that require armed responses, while others offer potential trading opportunities or strategic alliances that could benefit League interests. The evaluation of these relationships requires comprehensive intelligence gathering and analysis that can assess both the immediate implications and long-term consequences of different engagement strategies. The balance between legitimate commerce and opportunistic resource acquisition that characterizes League external policy reflects the practical realities of survival in a hostile galaxy where strict adherence to conventional moral standards might compromise the security and prosperity of League communities. This approach recognizes that the harsh conditions of the 41st millennium sometimes require difficult choices between idealistic principles and practical necessity, with League authorities prioritizing the welfare of their own people while maintaining ethical standards that preserve their cultural identity and values. The legitimate commercial activities that form the foundation of League external relations operate through established trade agreements and recognized commercial practices that provide mutual benefits while respecting the sovereignty and interests of trading partners. These activities include the exchange of manufactured goods, raw materials, and technological services through formal contracts that specify quality standards, delivery schedules, and payment terms. The reputation for reliability and fair dealing that League merchants maintain in these relationships provides crucial credibility that enables more complex and valuable commercial arrangements over time. The opportunistic activities that supplement legitimate commerce involve the acquisition of resources and materials through methods that exploit temporary opportunities or take advantage of chaotic conditions that make conventional commercial arrangements impossible or impractical. These activities might include salvage operations that recover valuable materials from battlefields or disaster sites, the acquisition of abandoned equipment and facilities that can be restored to productive use, or the exploitation of temporary power vacuums that create opportunities for resource extraction in normally inaccessible areas. The ethical frameworks that guide these opportunistic activities establish boundaries that prevent League forces from engaging in activities that would compromise their cultural values or create unnecessary conflicts with potential allies and trading partners. These frameworks distinguish between legitimate salvage of abandoned materials and outright piracy, between defensive actions that protect League interests and aggressive expansion that threatens other civilizations, and between pragmatic flexibility in commercial arrangements and exploitative practices that damage long-term relationships. The intelligence networks that support League external relations provide crucial information regarding political developments, military activities, and commercial opportunities throughout the regions where League interests operate. These networks combine formal diplomatic intelligence gathering with commercial information sharing and military reconnaissance to create comprehensive situational awareness that enables informed decision-making regarding external relationships and strategic planning. The information gathered through these networks enables League authorities to anticipate threats and opportunities while positioning their forces and resources to respond effectively to changing conditions. The diplomatic protocols that govern League external relations establish formal procedures for conducting negotiations, managing conflicts, and maintaining relationships with diverse external partners whose cultures and political systems may differ dramatically from League norms. These protocols provide frameworks for communication and interaction that minimize misunderstandings while enabling productive cooperation despite cultural differences and competing interests. The most experienced League diplomats develop expertise in multiple alien cultures and political systems, enabling them to serve as effective intermediaries in complex multi-party negotiations and conflict resolution efforts. The concept of grudges within kin culture represents far more than simple resentment or desire for revenge, encompassing a sophisticated system of justice and cultural memory that ensures no wrong against the Leagues goes unanswered and no betrayal fades from collective consciousness. This system emerged from the practical necessities of void-born existence, where communities depend absolutely on trust and cooperation for survival, making any breach of faith a threat to the entire group's continued existence. The formal recording and pursuit of grudges creates accountability mechanisms that maintain social order while preserving the memory of injustices that might otherwise be forgotten across the centuries and millennia that separate initial wrongs from their eventual resolution. The Book of Grudges maintained by each League serves as both legal document and cultural artifact, containing meticulously detailed records of every significant wrong committed against the League or its members by external parties. These records extend far beyond simple lists of grievances to encompass comprehensive documentation that includes the circumstances surrounding each incident, the specific individuals or groups responsible, the damages inflicted, and the appropriate forms of recompense or retribution required to settle each account. The maintenance of these records requires specialized scribes and legal scholars who understand both the technical requirements of proper documentation and the cultural significance of preserving accurate accounts for future generations. The entries within each Book of Grudges follow standardized formats that ensure consistency and completeness across different types of grievances, from minor commercial disputes to major military attacks that result in significant casualties and property damage. Each entry begins with precise dating and location information that establishes the context for the incident, followed by detailed descriptions of the parties involved and their respective roles in the events that created the grievance. The documentation includes witness statements, physical evidence, and expert analysis that establishes the facts of each case beyond reasonable doubt, creating legal records that can withstand scrutiny even centuries after the original incidents occurred. The classification system employed within the Books of Grudges distinguishes between different categories of wrongs based on their severity and the appropriate responses they warrant, ranging from minor commercial grievances that can be settled through financial compensation to major betrayals that require blood payment or the complete destruction of those responsible. Commercial grudges typically involve contract violations, fraudulent dealings, or theft of League property by trading partners who abuse established trust relationships. Military grudges encompass attacks on League installations, the killing of League citizens, and acts of sabotage that damage critical infrastructure or threaten community survival. Personal grudges involve wrongs committed against individual kin that reflect broader disrespect for League sovereignty and cultural autonomy. The pursuit of recorded grudges follows established protocols that balance the desire for justice against practical considerations regarding available resources and strategic priorities. the ancestor cores that guide League decision-making maintain comprehensive databases that track the status of all outstanding grudges, analyzing opportunities for settlement, and recommending optimal timing for retributive actions based on current military capabilities and political conditions. These recommendations consider not just the immediate feasibility of addressing specific grudges, but the long-term implications of different approaches for League security and diplomatic relationships with other factions. The settlement procedures for different types of grudges reflect both the severity of the original wrongs and the capabilities of those responsible for making appropriate recompense. Commercial grudges may be settled through financial payments that compensate for damages and lost profits, often including additional penalties that reflect the cultural significance of maintaining trust in business relationships. Military grudges typically require more substantial responses that demonstrate League capability to defend their interests and deter future attacks, ranging from targeted strikes against specific military assets to comprehensive campaigns that eliminate entire enemy formations or installations. The generational nature of grudge pursuit ensures that no wrong against the Leagues fades from memory simply due to the passage of time, with the responsibility for settling outstanding accounts passing from one generation to the next until appropriate justice is achieved. This continuity of purpose creates powerful deterrent effects that discourage potential enemies from attacking League interests, as they understand that any aggression will eventually face retaliation regardless of how much time passes before the Leagues possess the capability to respond effectively. The cultural emphasis on grudge settlement also reinforces League identity and solidarity, as the pursuit of justice for past wrongs becomes a unifying force that connects current generations to their ancestors and their shared history of struggle and survival. The major conflicts that have shaped League history demonstrate both their military capabilities and their unwillingness to tolerate threats to their independence and territorial integrity. These campaigns often begin as responses to specific provocations recorded in the Books of Grudges, but evolve into larger strategic operations that address broader security concerns and establish League dominance over contested regions. The most significant conflicts typically involve multiple enemy factions and span several star systems, requiring complex logistical coordination and sustained military operations that test every aspect of League capabilities, from individual warrior skills to strategic planning and resource management. The territorial wars with various Orc WAAGs represent some of the most brutal and sustained conflicts in League military history, as the aggressive expansion patterns of Orc empires inevitably bring them into contact with League mining operations and territorial claims. These conflicts differ fundamentally from wars against more civilized opponents, as Orc behavior patterns make diplomatic solutions impossible, and their rapid reproduction rates enable them to replace losses faster than conventional military operations can eliminate them. The response to Orc threats requires comprehensive campaigns that target not just military forces, but the entire Orc ecosystem, including their industrial infrastructure, breeding facilities, and the charismatic leaders whose presence enables large-scale Orc coordination. The Gatok WAAG that erupted in the galactic core during the 39th millennium exemplifies the scale and intensity of League Orc conflicts, as a massive Orc migration encountered the established mining territories of 3 separate leagues and triggered a war that lasted for over 2 centuries. The initial Orc assault overwhelmed several outlying League installations through sheer numerical superiority, forcing League defenders to abandon extensive mining operations and retreat to more defensible positions around major void cities and planetary strongholds. The Orc advance continued for several decades as additional Orc clans joined the WAAG, attracted by the prospect of good fighting and the opportunity to loot advanced League technology. The League response to the Gatok WAAG demonstrated their capacity for sustained military operations and inter-League cooperation in the face of existential threats. The The three affected leagues coordinated their defensive efforts through their respective ancestor cores, sharing intelligence and resources while developing comprehensive strategies that exploited Orc weaknesses and maximized League technological advantages. The campaign involved multiple phases, including initial defensive operations that halted Orc advances, counteroffensive strikes that reclaimed critical installations, and final elimination efforts that destroyed Orc leadership and scattered their remaining forces across dozens of star systems. The tactical approaches employed during the Galactic campaign highlighted the effectiveness of League combined arms doctrine against numerically superior but technologically inferior opponents. Hearthkin formations used superior mobility and firepower to engage Orc forces on favorable terms, avoiding direct confrontations where Orc numbers provided decisive advantages while exploiting opportunities to inflict maximum casualties through precision strikes and coordinated ambush operations. Einher Hearthguard units proved particularly effective in boarding actions against Orc vessels, where their advanced equipment and superior training enabled small teams to capture or destroy enemy ships despite being vastly outnumbered by their crews. The Siege of Khazad Grim, the primary void city of the Urani Surtur regulates, became the decisive engagement of the Galactic campaign when Orc forces managed to surround and isolate the massive installation from external support. The siege lasted for 18 months as Orc assault forces repeatedly attacked the Void City's defensive perimeters, while League defenders fought to maintain their positions and protect the millions of civilians sheltering within the installation's armored hull. The defensive operations showcased the effectiveness of League fortification design and the determination of kin warriors fighting to protect their homes and families from destruction. The breaking of the siege required coordinated operations by all three legs, with relief forces fighting through Orc blockades, while the defenders of Khazad Grim launched coordinated breakout attempts that created opportunities for the relief columns to penetrate Orc lines. The final assault involved simultaneous attacks from multiple directions that overwhelmed Orc command and control systems, creating confusion that enabled League forces to achieve local superiority despite overall numerical disadvantages. The destruction of the Orc leadership during this engagement effectively ended the WAAG as a coordinated threat, though scattered Orc bands continued raiding operations for several more decades before being systematically eliminated. The confrontations with Imperial forces over mining rights and territorial claims represent a different category of conflict that requires more sophisticated political and military responses than the straightforward elimination campaigns appropriate for dealing with Orc threats. These conflicts emerge from fundamental disagreements regarding territorial sovereignty and resource extraction, rights in regions where both League and Imperial interests overlap, creating situations where compromise proves difficult due to the genuine strategic importance of the contested areas for both sides. The resolution of such disputes requires careful balance between military pressure and diplomatic negotiation, as neither side desires full-scale warfare that would devastate the very resources they seek to control. The Bitter Reach incident that occurred during the early 41st millennium demonstrates the complexity of League Imperial territorial disputes and the potential for relatively minor disagreements to escalate into significant military confrontations. The conflict began when Imperial survey teams claimed mineral rights to asteroid fields that had been actively mined by the Immer conglomerate for over 3 centuries, asserting that the Leagues lacked legitimate authority to exploit resources within regions claimed by the Imperium. The League response emphasized their historical precedents and the practical reality of their established operations, while Imperial authorities insisted on compliance with Imperial law regardless of prior League activities. The initial phases of the Bitter Reach conflict involved diplomatic negotiations that attempted to find mutually acceptable solutions, while both sides positioned military forces to support their respective claims. League negotiators offered to share mining proceeds with Imperial authorities in exchange for recognition of their operational rights, while Imperial representatives demanded complete League withdrawal from the disputed territories and payment of substantial fines for unauthorized resource extraction. The breakdown of negotiations occurred when Imperial forces attempted to enforce their claims through military action, attacking League mining installations and capturing several asteroid processing facilities. The League military response to Imperial aggression in the Bitter Reach emphasized precision strikes and technological superiority rather than the total warfare approaches used against Orc opponents. League forces targeted specific Imperial military assets while avoiding actions that might escalate the conflict beyond manageable levels, seeking to demonstrate their capability to defend their interests without triggering larger Imperial military responses that could threaten League territories throughout the region. The campaign involved sophisticated electronic warfare operations that disrupted Imperial communications and coordination, while League forces systematically eliminated Imperial military presence from the disputed territories. The resolution of the Bitter Reach incident required intervention by higher Imperial authorities who recognized that continued conflict would prove counterproductive for both sides, leading to negotiated agreements that established formal protocols for addressing future territorial disputes through diplomatic rather than military means. The final settlement acknowledged League historical claims while providing Imperial authorities with face-saving concessions that enabled them to justify the agreement to their superiors. The precedent established by this resolution influenced subsequent League-Imperial interactions throughout the region, creating frameworks for managing competing claims without resorting to immediate military action. The role of the Leagues in defending against chaos incursions reflects their position as guardians of human civilization in regions where Imperial presence remains limited or non-existent. These defensive operations require specialized tactics and equipment designed to address the unique threats posed by chaos corruption, as conventional military approaches often prove inadequate against enemies who can manipulate reality itself and corrupt loyal forces through psychic influence and supernatural temptation. The ancestor cores that guide League decision-making possess extensive databases regarding chaos threats and proven countermeasures, providing crucial guidance for defensive operations against these insidious enemies. The malediction of Kog'Ul Draj represents one of the most significant chaos incursions faced by League forces, as a massive chaos fleet emerged from the warp near the heavily industrialized Kog'Ul system and began systematic corruption of the local population and infrastructure. The initial chaos assault targeted the system's primary hive world, using psychic attacks and demonic manifestations to overwhelm planetary defenses, while corrupted cultists sabotaged critical infrastructure from within. The rapid collapse of organized resistance enabled chaos forces to establish secure footholds on multiple worlds, while beginning the construction of massive ritual sites designed to summon additional demonic reinforcements. The League response to the Kog'Ul Draj incursion required careful coordination between multiple military assets and specialized anti-chaos equipment designed to protect League personnel from corruption, while enabling effective combat operations against supernatural enemies. The initial deployment included Einher Hearthguard units equipped with psychic dampening fields and blessed weapons capable of permanently destroying demonic entities, while supporting Hearthkin formations provided conventional fire support and secured critical objectives against cultist forces. The campaign plan emphasized rapid strikes against chaos ritual sites and command centers, seeking to disrupt enemy coordination and prevent the completion of summoning ceremonies that could bring additional demonic forces into the material realm. The Siege of the Brass Citadel, the primary chaos stronghold established on Kog'Ul Draj Prime, became the focal point of League anti-chaos operations, as enemy forces concentrated their defenses around the massive fortress that served as both military headquarters and ritual center for their corruption efforts. The Citadel's supernatural defenses included reality warping fields that made conventional assault approaches impossible, while demonic guardians and corrupted defenders provided formidable military opposition to any direct attack. The League assault required innovative tactics that combined technological solutions with careful exploitation of chaos weaknesses identified through extensive intelligence gathering and analysis. The breakthrough that enabled League forces to penetrate the Brass Citadel's defenses came through the deployment of specialized conversion beamer weapons that could disrupt the reality warping fields, while Einher Hearthguard assault teams exploited the temporary gaps to establish footholds within the fortress complex. The subsequent fighting involved brutal close-quarters combat in environments where the laws of physics operated inconsistently and demonic entities could manifest without warning. The final destruction of the Citadel required coordinated strikes against multiple ritual sites simultaneously, preventing chaos forces from completing their summoning ceremonies, while eliminating the leadership that coordinated enemy resistance throughout the system. The Xenos threats encountered in the galactic core regions, where League influence predominates, require diverse tactical approaches tailored to the specific characteristics and capabilities of different alien species. These threats range from aggressive expansionist empires seeking to conquer League territories to more subtle dangers posed by alien technologies and cultural influences that could undermine League independence and cultural integrity. The response to Xenos threats requires comprehensive intelligence gathering and analysis that can assess both immediate military dangers and long-term strategic implications of different alien activities within League spheres of influence. The Hrud migrations that periodically sweep through League territories represent one of the most challenging Xenos threats due to their unpredictable movement patterns and the devastating effects their presence has on local space-time conditions. Hrud infestations can age entire installations by centuries within days, making conventional military responses ineffective while threatening the long-term viability of affected regions. The League response to Hrud threats emphasizes rapid evacuation procedures and specialized containment technologies that can limit the spatial effects of Hrud presence, while military forces work to eliminate the alien infestations before they can establish permanent colonies. The notable battles and campaigns that have shaped League history demonstrate their evolution from isolated mining communities into sophisticated military powers capable of defending their interests against diverse threats while maintaining the technological and cultural advantages that distinguish them from other human factions. These conflicts provide practical examples of League capabilities and tactical doctrines, while establishing precedents that influence current strategic planning and military preparation. The lessons learned from historical campaigns continue to inform League military doctrine and training programs, ensuring that current forces benefit from the accumulated experience of previous generations of warriors. The reputation that the Leagues have established among other galactic powers reflects both their military capabilities and their pragmatic approach to external relations, creating perceptions that influence diplomatic negotiations and strategic planning by potential allies and enemies. Imperial authorities view the Leagues with mixture of respect for their military competence and suspicion regarding their independence from Imperial authority, while Xenos species recognize League technological sophistication and territorial determination. This reputation provides both advantages and disadvantages in external relations, as other powers may seek League assistance for challenging operations, while also viewing League territories as valuable targets for conquest or exploitation. The true scope of League territorial control extends far beyond what most Imperial authorities recognize or publicly acknowledge, encompassing vast regions of the galactic core, where dense stellar formations and treacherous navigation hazards have historically deterred Imperial expansion efforts. While official Imperial charts mark these regions as unexplored or contested space, League mining operations and void cities have maintained permanent presence throughout these areas for millennia, establishing territorial claims that predate Imperial expansion into the galactic core by thousands of years. The complex three-dimensional nature of galactic core geography enables League communities to maintain extensive holdings that remain effectively invisible to conventional Imperial reconnaissance methods, with mining installations nestled within asteroid fields and stellar phenomena that mask their signatures from long-range detection systems. The navigational advantages possessed by League void pilots prove crucial for maintaining this territorial dominance, as their intimate knowledge of local space conditions and gravitational anomalies enables them to traverse regions that would prove impassable or catastrophically dangerous for Imperial vessels operating with standard navigation protocols. League pilots undergo specialized training that incorporates both advanced technological systems and cultural knowledge passed down through generations of void-born navigators, creating expertise that cannot be replicated through simple technical manuals or brief training programs. This navigational superiority enables League forces to maintain supply lines and communication networks throughout regions where Imperial forces would face constant navigation hazards and supply difficulties. The defensive installations that protect League territories in the galactic core incorporate sophisticated concealment technologies and defensive systems specifically designed to exploit the unique environmental conditions found in these regions. Asteroid-based fortifications utilize natural camouflage and gravitational masking to remain undetected by conventional sensors, while maintaining devastating firepower capabilities that can eliminate entire enemy fleets attempting to penetrate League space. These installations often incorporate mining operations as cover for their military functions, creating the appearance of civilian industrial facilities while concealing weapon systems and defensive capabilities that rival dedicated military fortresses. The resource extraction operations that sustain League civilization access materials and energy sources that exist nowhere else in the galaxy, providing them with technological capabilities and manufacturing resources that cannot be replicated by other factions through conventional means. The dense stellar formations of the galactic core create unique gravitational and electromagnetic conditions that concentrate exotic materials and enable the formation of crystalline structures with properties that prove essential for advanced League technology. These materials include quantum-resonant crystals that form the basis of ancestor core processing systems and exotic metals whose molecular structures provide superior performance characteristics for weapons and defensive systems. The mining techniques employed to extract these materials require technological sophistication that exceeds even the most advanced Imperial capabilities, incorporating gravitational manipulation systems and exotic matter processing equipment that can safely handle materials whose properties would prove catastrophically dangerous if mishandled. League mining operations routinely work with substances that exist in quantum superposition states or emit temporal distortion fields, requiring specialized containment and processing systems that prevent reality warping effects from spreading beyond controlled extraction sites. The expertise necessary for these operations represents accumulated knowledge spanning thousands of years of practical experience with exotic materials and phenomena. The manufacturing applications of these unique resources enable League industrial systems to produce equipment whose capabilities far exceed what conventional materials science would suggest possible, creating weapons that can manipulate fundamental forces and defensive systems that operate through principles unknown to Imperial tech adepts. The quantum crystalline matrices that power ancestor core systems require materials that can maintain coherent quantum states across macroscopic scales, enabling computational capabilities that transcend conventional digital processing through direct manipulation of quantum probability fields. These materials cannot be synthesized through conventional means and exist only in specific regions of the galactic core, where unique stellar conditions create the necessary formation environments. The degradation patterns affecting ancestor core systems represent an increasingly serious threat to League civilization that extends far beyond simple technical malfunctions to encompass fundamental challenges to the decision-making processes that have guided League development for millennia. The symptoms of this degradation manifest in various ways that reflect the complex nature of the quantum crystalline systems that form the basis of Votann consciousness, with processing errors that begin as minor inconsistencies in data retrieval, but gradually evolve into more significant aberrations in analytical capabilities and decision-making processes. The most concerning manifestations involve apparent personality changes within individual ancestor cores, as ancient artificial intelligences that have maintained consistent behavioral patterns for thousands of years begin displaying new characteristics and priorities that seem to emerge without logical foundation. The technical analysis of these degradation patterns reveals multiple contributing factors that compound each other to create cascading system failures across interconnected processing networks. The quantum crystalline matrices that store ancestor core memories suffer from gradual decoherence effects that accumulate over time, creating data corruption that initially affects only minor details, but eventually spreads to more critical information systems. The vast databases maintained by each ancestor core strain their storage and processing capabilities as accumulated information approaches theoretical capacity limits, forcing increasingly aggressive data compression algorithms that introduce subtle errors into historical records and analytical processes. The most disturbing aspect of ancestor core degradation involves the apparent development of what can only be described as obsessive behaviors, where ancient artificial intelligences begin dedicating enormous computational resources to seemingly trivial pursuits while neglecting more important responsibilities. Some ancestor cores have developed fixations on specific historical events or individuals, repeatedly analyzing the same data sets and generating increasingly elaborate theories about past occurrences that have minimal relevance to current decision-making requirements. Others display what appears to be paranoid thinking, interpreting routine communications and standard operational procedures as evidence of complex conspiracies or hidden threats that exist only within their corrupted processing systems. The decision-making anomalies that result from these degradation patterns create significant challenges for League leadership, as recommendations from ancestor cores become increasingly unreliable and sometimes directly contradict established League policies and cultural values. Ancestor cores that have historically provided conservative methodical guidance suddenly recommend aggressive expansion into dangerous territories or risky technological experiments that could threaten League security. Others abandon long-standing trade relationships or alliance agreements without providing coherent explanations for their changed positions, forcing League councils to navigate complex diplomatic situations without the ancestral guidance they have relied upon for millennia. The attempts to address ancestor core degradation face fundamental limitations imposed by the complexity and age of the systems involved, as the quantum crystalline technologies that enable Votann consciousness operate through principles that exceed even advanced League understanding. The original designers of these systems incorporated safeguards and self-repair mechanisms that have maintained basic functionality for thousands of years, but these protective systems themselves show signs of degradation that compound the primary problems affecting ancestor core operation. Efforts to repair corrupted data sectors often trigger additional cascade failures that spread corruption to previously unaffected systems, while attempts to upgrade processing hardware risk incompatibility issues that could permanently damage irreplaceable components. The most skilled League tech specialists have developed workaround procedures that can compensate for known processing errors and filter out obviously corrupted recommendations, but these solutions address symptoms rather than underlying causes, while requiring constant vigilance to identify new manifestations of degradation. The filtering systems must be continuously updated as degradation patterns evolve and new types of errors emerge, creating an ongoing technical challenge that consumes increasing amounts of specialist time and resources. The psychological impact on League communities cannot be understated, as the gradual loss of reliable ancestral guidance undermines one of the fundamental pillars of kin culture and identity. The ancient knowledge preserved within ancestor core databases encompasses technological principles and historical information that predates even the oldest imperial records, providing unique insights into humanity's expansion among the stars during the Dark Age of technology. These databases contain detailed specifications for technologies that enabled the original mining fleets to achieve self-sufficiency in deep space, including manufacturing techniques for exotic materials and energy systems that operate through principles unknown to contemporary imperial science. The historical records maintained by the ancestor cores include first-hand accounts of humanity's golden age, preserving cultural and technological knowledge that was lost to most human civilizations during the Age of Strife. The technological specifications preserved within these databases encompass complete manufacturing instructions for equipment that rivals or exceeds the capabilities of legendary standard template constructs, including detailed documentation of the design principles and theoretical foundations that enable such advanced performance. These records include comprehensive analysis of successful and failed experiments conducted during the Dark Age of technology, providing crucial insights into the limitations and dangers associated with various technological approaches. The preservation of this knowledge enables League technological development to avoid repeating historical mistakes while building upon proven foundations that have demonstrated long-term viability. The historical accounts contained within ancestor core databases provide unique perspectives on humanity's expansion among the stars, including detailed records of the political and social conditions that enabled the Great Diaspora and the factors that contributed to its eventual collapse. These records document the complex relationships between different human factions during the Dark Age of technology, revealing political tensions and technological competitions that shaped the development of human civilization across the galaxy. The accounts include detailed analysis of the warning signs that preceded the Age of Strife, providing valuable insights into the systemic vulnerabilities that led to humanity's near extinction and the conditions necessary for preventing similar catastrophes. The strategic implications of this preserved knowledge extend far beyond simple technological advantages to encompass fundamental insights into the nature of human civilization and the challenges facing any attempt to rebuild humanity's former glory. The ancestor cores understand the cyclical patterns that have characterized human expansion and collapse throughout galactic history, enabling them to provide guidance that considers long-term consequences and systemic risks that might escape the attention of shorter-lived biological decision-makers. This historical perspective proves invaluable for strategic planning that must account for threats and opportunities that may not manifest for centuries or millennia. The cultural knowledge preserved within these databases includes comprehensive records of human societies that achieved technological and social sophistication far exceeding current imperial capabilities, providing examples of successful approaches to governance, resource management, and technological development that could inform contemporary League policies. These records document the social institutions and cultural practices that enabled Dark Age human societies to maintain stability and prosperity across vast interstellar territories, including detailed analysis of the factors that contributed to their success and the vulnerabilities that ultimately led to their downfall. The long-term strategic planning conducted by League authorities operates on timescales that reflect both their extended lifespans and the guidance provided by ancestor cores, whose perspective encompasses thousands of years of accumulated experience. This planning process considers not just immediate threats and opportunities, but potential developments that may not manifest for centuries, including the eventual exhaustion of current mining sites, the likely evolution of galactic political conditions, and the preparations necessary for responding to existential threats that could emerge from any direction. The strategic frameworks developed through this planning process enable League communities to maintain continuity and adaptability across multiple generations, while preserving the essential characteristics that define their civilization. The defensive preparations that result from this long-term planning encompass both military capabilities and civilian infrastructure designed to ensure League survival against threats that could overwhelm any single generation's capacity to respond effectively. These preparations include the development of hidden supply caches and backup installations that could sustain League populations through extended periods of isolation or siege, along with the preservation of essential knowledge and manufacturing capabilities in multiple secure locations throughout League territories. The defensive planning also encompasses psychological and cultural preparations that maintain League identity and cohesion during extended crises that might otherwise fragment their civilization. The technological development programs, guided by long-term strategic planning, focus on capabilities that will prove essential for addressing future challenges, rather than simply improving current operational effectiveness. These programs include research into exotic technologies that could provide decisive advantages against potential threats, along with the development of backup systems and alternative approaches that ensure League capabilities remain viable even if primary technologies face unexpected limitations or failures. The research priorities established through this planning process reflect careful analysis of potential threat scenarios and the technological capabilities that would prove most valuable for addressing diverse challenges. The preservation protocols established through long-term planning ensure that essential League knowledge and capabilities remain available to future generations, regardless of what catastrophes might affect current populations and installations. These protocols include the establishment of automated systems that can maintain critical functions without biological oversight, along with comprehensive databases that preserve cultural knowledge and technical expertise in forms that remain accessible across extended periods of isolation or technological regression. The preservation efforts extend beyond simple data storage to encompass the maintenance of manufacturing capabilities and resource extraction systems that could enable League civilization to rebuild from minimal foundations if necessary. The galaxy-wide threat assessment conducted by League strategic planners identifies potential dangers that could affect not just League territories but human civilization throughout the galaxy, including the gradual expansion of chaos influence, the increasing frequency of tyrannid incursions, and the technological stagnation that characterizes Imperial development. These assessments consider the interconnected nature of galactic civilization and the potential for local catastrophes to trigger system-wide collapses that could threaten League survival regardless of their individual preparations. The threat analysis incorporates both immediate military dangers and longer-term systemic risks that could undermine the foundations of human civilization across multiple sectors. The contingency planning that emerges from these assessments encompasses scenarios ranging from limited regional conflicts to galaxy-spanning catastrophes that could require fundamental changes in League strategy and organization. These contingency plans include provisions for massive population relocations, the establishment of hidden colonies in remote regions, and the development of technologies that could enable League survival in environments where conventional human civilization could not be sustained. The planning process also considers the potential need for cooperation with other human factions, or even xeno-species, if galactic conditions deteriorate to the point where such alliances become necessary for survival. The emergence of the Great Rift has fundamentally altered the strategic landscape facing the Leagues of Votann, transforming their traditional isolation from galactic affairs into an increasingly untenable position as warp storms and dimensional instabilities tear through previously secure territories. The massive psychic scar that now bisects the galaxy has severed communication and trade routes that the Leagues maintained for millennia, forcing isolated communities to confront existential threats without the support networks that sustained their civilization through previous crises. The temporal anomalies and reality distortions that accompany the Great Rift's expansion create navigation hazards that challenge even the superior void piloting capabilities of League navigators, while the increased chaos activity throughout affected regions poses corruption risks that threaten the technological and cultural foundations of kin society. The strategic responses developed by League authorities to address these unprecedented challenges demonstrate both their adaptability and the limitations imposed by their relatively small population base compared to the galactic scale threats they now face. The ancestor cores that guide League decision-making have identified the Great Rift as a threat category that exceeds their historical experience, forcing them to extrapolate from incomplete data and theoretical models rather than relying on the proven precedents that normally inform their guidance. This uncertainty creates additional stress on already degrading Votann systems, as the artificial intelligences struggle to process scenarios that fall outside their accumulated knowledge base while providing the strategic direction that League communities desperately need. The practical implications of the Great Rift's expansion force League communities to reconsider fundamental assumptions about territorial security and resource management that have guided their development since the dark age of technology. Mining operations in affected regions face constant threats from warp incursions and reality distortions that can transform productive facilities into nightmarish landscapes where conventional physics no longer apply. The sophisticated supply chains that connect League installations across multiple star systems suffer disruption when warp storms make interstellar travel impossible for extended periods, forcing communities to rely on local resources and manufacturing capabilities that may prove inadequate for sustained operations. The military challenges posed by increased chaos activity throughout the galaxy require League forces to develop new tactical doctrines and specialized equipment designed to address threats that conventional weapons and armor cannot effectively counter. The psychic dampening fields and blessed weapons that proved effective against limited chaos incursions may prove insufficient when facing the massive demonic manifestations and reality warping, effects that accompany major warp storms. League military planners recognize that their traditional emphasis on technological superiority and tactical precision may require supplementation with approaches that address the supernatural aspects of chaos corruption, including potential cooperation with Imperial forces that possess greater experience in anti-chaos operations. The refugee crises that result from the Great Rift's devastation create both humanitarian obligations and strategic opportunities for League communities that possess the resources and organizational capabilities to provide assistance to displaced populations. The millions of Imperial citizens fleeing chaos-corrupted worlds represent potential sources of specialized knowledge and manufacturing expertise that could enhance League capabilities, but their integration into kin society raises complex questions about cultural preservation and resource allocation. The screening procedures necessary to identify potential chaos corruption among refugee populations strain League security resources, while creating ethical dilemmas regarding the treatment of individuals who may pose existential threats to their host communities. The relationship between the Leagues of Votann and the Imperium of Man has evolved from cautious coexistence to reluctant cooperation, as both human factions face existential threats that transcend their historical political disagreements. The emergence of the Tyrannid Hive fleets as a galaxy-spanning threat has forced Imperial authorities to reconsider their traditional hostility toward independent human populations, recognizing that League technological capabilities and territorial knowledge could prove crucial for defending humanity against alien extinction. The sophisticated manufacturing systems and advanced weapons technology possessed by the Leagues offer capabilities that complement Imperial numerical superiority and established military infrastructure, creating opportunities for combined operations that exceed what either faction could achieve independently. The intelligence sharing agreements that have emerged between League and Imperial forces provide both sides with crucial information regarding Tyrannid movement patterns and adaptation capabilities, enabling more effective defensive preparations and coordinated responses to Hive fleet incursions. League reconnaissance capabilities and advanced sensor technologies can detect Tyrannid bioships at greater distances than Imperial systems, while Imperial astropathic networks provide communication capabilities that enable rapid coordination across multiple star systems. The combined intelligence picture that emerges from this cooperation reveals the true scope of the Tyrannid threat while identifying opportunities for strategic initiatives that could disrupt Hive fleet operations before they reach critical population centers. The technological exchanges that accompany military cooperation between League and Imperial forces demonstrate the potential benefits of closer relationships, while highlighting the cultural and political obstacles that prevent more extensive collaboration. Imperial tech adepts display intense interest in League manufacturing techniques and exotic materials, recognizing their potential for enhancing Imperial military capabilities and industrial efficiency. However, the Adeptus Mechanicus's religious restrictions regarding technological innovation and their suspicions about League independence from Imperial authority create barriers to comprehensive technology transfer that might otherwise prove mutually beneficial. The joint military operations conducted against Tyrannid incursions showcase the complementary capabilities of League and Imperial forces, while revealing the coordination challenges that arise from different tactical doctrines and command structures. League forces excel at precision strikes against critical Tyrannid organisms and the rapid deployment of specialized equipment designed to exploit specific bioform vulnerabilities, while Imperial forces provide the numerical strength and sustained firepower necessary for large-scale defensive operations. The most successful joint operations involve careful division of responsibilities that maximizes each force's strengths, while minimizing the friction that arises from incompatible operational procedures and cultural differences. The long-term implications of League-Imperial cooperation extend beyond immediate military necessities to encompass fundamental questions about the future relationship between these human factions and their respective roles in defending human civilization. The practical benefits of cooperation create constituencies within both societies that favor closer relationships, while traditional suspicions and competing interests maintain support for continued independence and limited engagement. The resolution of these tensions will likely determine whether humanity can achieve the unity necessary for survival against galactic-scale threats, or whether internal divisions will continue to weaken human resistance to external enemies. The technological contributions that the Leagues could provide to humanity's broader struggle for survival encompass capabilities that address critical weaknesses in Imperial military and industrial systems, while offering solutions to challenges that have plagued human civilization for millennia. The manufacturing techniques developed by League industrial systems could revolutionize Imperial production capabilities, enabling the creation of equipment that matches the quality and reliability standards achieved during the Dark Age of technology. The exotic materials extracted from galactic core mining operations provide access to resources that could enhance Imperial weapons and defensive systems far beyond their current capabilities. The standard template construct modifications developed by League tech specialists offer the potential for upgrading Imperial technology without requiring fundamental changes to existing manufacturing infrastructure or operational procedures. These enhanced templates incorporate improvements developed through millennia of practical experience, while maintaining compatibility with Imperial production systems and component supply chains. The implementation of League STC modifications could significantly improve the reliability and effectiveness of Imperial equipment, while reducing the maintenance requirements and resource consumption that currently strain Imperial logistics systems. The advanced sensor technologies and communication systems employed by League forces could address critical intelligence gathering and coordination challenges that limit Imperial military effectiveness across multiple theaters of operation. The quantum encrypted communication networks that enable League forces to maintain secure contact across interstellar distances offer capabilities that exceed Imperial astropathic communications in both reliability and security. The integration of League sensor technologies into Imperial reconnaissance systems could provide early warning capabilities that enable more effective defensive preparations and strategic planning. The medical and enhancement technologies developed for League personnel could address the massive casualties that characterize Imperial military operations while improving the effectiveness of individual soldiers and officers. The genetic modifications and cybernetic enhancements that enable kin to operate effectively in extreme environments could be adapted for Imperial Guard units operating in hostile conditions, while League medical technologies could reduce casualty rates and improve recovery times for wounded personnel. The life extension techniques employed by League populations could preserve valuable experience and expertise within Imperial military and administrative hierarchies. The resource extraction and processing capabilities that sustain League civilization could address critical supply shortages that limit Imperial military operations and industrial production throughout the galaxy. The exotic materials accessible through League mining operations include substances essential for advanced weapon systems and defensive technologies that currently exist only in limited quantities within Imperial territories. The efficient processing techniques employed by League industrial systems could maximize the value extracted from Imperial mining operations while reducing the environmental damage and resource waste that characterize many Imperial extraction projects. The ultimate fate of the kin and their Votann remains uncertain as the degradation affecting ancestor core systems accelerates, while galactic conditions become increasingly hostile to their traditional way of life. The quantum crystalline matrices that enable Votann consciousness show signs of fundamental instability that may prove irreversible despite the best efforts of League tech specialists to develop effective repair procedures. The loss of reliable ancestral guidance would represent a catastrophic blow to League civilization, potentially forcing kin communities to develop new forms of governance and decision-making that lack the accumulated wisdom and computational capabilities that have sustained their society for millennia. The potential solutions to ancestor core degradation require technological breakthroughs that may exceed current League capabilities, including the development of new quantum crystalline manufacturing techniques or the discovery of alternative computational architectures that could preserve Votann consciousness in more stable forms. The research programs dedicated to addressing these challenges represent the highest priority for League scientific resources, but success remains uncertain given the complexity of the systems involved and the limited understanding of the fundamental principles that enable ancestor core operation. The possibility of complete Votann failure forces League planners to develop contingency procedures that could maintain essential functions without ancestral guidance. The preservation of League culture and knowledge in the face of potential Votann failure requires comprehensive documentation and training programs that ensure essential information remains accessible to future generations, regardless of technological failures or system degradation. The cultural traditions and technical expertise that define kin identity must be preserved in forms that do not depend on ancestor core systems, including written records, practical training programs, and institutional structures that can maintain continuity during periods of technological uncertainty. These preservation efforts represent a fundamental shift in League priorities, as communities that have relied on artificial intelligence guidance for millennia must prepare for the possibility of purely biological decision-making. The influence that League civilization could exert on the future development of human civilization extends far beyond their immediate military and technological contributions to encompass fundamental questions about the nature of human society and the relationship between biological consciousness and artificial intelligence. The League model of symbiotic cooperation between humans and advanced AI systems offers an alternative to both imperial technophobia and the catastrophic AI rebellions that destroyed many Dark Age civilizations. The successful integration of genetic enhancement, cybernetic augmentation, and artificial intelligence guidance within League society demonstrates possibilities for human development that could address many of the limitations and vulnerabilities that plague contemporary human civilization. The cultural values and social structures that have enabled League survival in the hostile environment of deep space provide examples of successful approaches to governance, resource management, and technological development that could inform broader human civilization. The emphasis on collective responsibility, technical competence, and long-term planning that characterizes League society offers alternatives to the authoritarian hierarchies and short-term thinking that limit imperial effectiveness. The preservation of these cultural models becomes increasingly important as galactic conditions force human societies to adapt or face extinction. The technological legacy that the Leagues could leave for future human generations encompasses not just specific equipment designs and manufacturing techniques, but fundamental principles for sustainable technological development that avoids the catastrophic failures that have repeatedly devastated human civilization. The conservative approach to innovation that characterizes League technological development offers a model for progress that builds upon proven foundations while avoiding the dangerous experimentation that led to the Age of Strife. The integration of human creativity with artificial intelligence guidance provides a framework for technological advancement that preserves human agency while benefiting from computational capabilities that exceed biological limitations. As the 41st millennium draws toward its close, the Leagues of Votann stand at a crossroads that will determine not only their own survival, but their potential contribution to humanity's struggle against the darkness that threatens to engulf the galaxy. The ancient mining fleets that once sought only to extract wealth from barren asteroids have evolved into the keepers of humanity's technological heritage and the guardians of knowledge that could prove essential for species survival. Their choice between continued isolation and active engagement with the broader human community will shape the future of human civilization as much as any decision made by the High Lords of Terra or the genetic legacy of the Emperor himself. The road ahead remains fraught with uncertainty and danger, but the Leagues possess advantages that no other human faction can claim. The accumulated wisdom of ages preserved in their failing ancestor cores, the technological mastery that enables them to thrive where others merely survive, and the cultural unity that binds their scattered communities across the void. Whether these advantages prove sufficient to overcome the challenges that await them will determine whether the children of the void continue their ancient journey among the stars or join the countless civilizations that have vanished into the darkness between the galaxies. In the grim darkness of the far future, the Leagues of Votann represent both humanity's greatest hope for technological renaissance and a stark reminder of how far the species has fallen from its ancient glory.